So we finally made it to Rob and Kyla's amazing facility, their amazing house. They gave us a brief tour of some of the locations here. And we're going to get some footage of that here in a little bit. But in the meantime, off of video, I've been missing so many of these stories that they've been telling us. And so I think we might go back to some of these stories that you were telling us to begin with. But to begin with, you guys are like the epitome of the entrepreneurial spirit, if you will. Taking your abilities and natural talents and like making something out of it.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a good way to think.
I like that. I like that.
I like that.
He needs to be our publicist.
Well, so for years, and I do mean literally years, going to cons and stuff like that, I would always see your guys', especially like the Beetlejuice booth at Comic-Cons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was something always fun to watch, not knowing who you guys were. It was just something passing by at the time, watching what was going on, just being like...
It was a highlight.
That's really freaking cool, right? And it wasn't until Spooky Empire 2019 that we engaged you guys for the first time. And you guys... I watched you interact with people individually, and you make every single interaction a very unique situation. and the way Rob acts off the top of his head, and then you there as Lydia, just kind of like reigning in the reality of trying to keep him in check. Meanwhile, he is Beetlejuice at the same time, doing Beetlejuice things. Like, how much practice? I obviously been doing Beetlejuice for a long time.
Oh yeah, I started I was with the Great Fright Way when it used to work at Universal. I got hired to be Beetlejuice at Universal. I've done the Great Fright Way with Ghostbusters, and then I went from there over to Beetlejuice's Graveyard Review, and I did Beetlejuice over there. So I have thank goodness for theme park training, everyone, and my improv skills started back at Disney. And then theme parks, it helps the training.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I owe all of my skills from working at theme parks in entertainment. And improv just comes natural to me. And so I was like, well, what better characters to do is to do Beetlejuice, and because that's what he is. Everything's off the top of your head.
And you've been doing Beetlejuice for quite some time, like outside too, just as like a party host character.
Okay.
And then there was like, we've been friends for a long time together working at Universal. That there was this year, what was it, 2017 Spooky?
At Omni. No, we did Omni.
Omni was the first one.
It was the first one.
So how we joined forces started at Omni, and he said, oh, you made a Lydia wedding dress for Halloween. Oh, I loved your costume. You make a great Lydia. How about you work with me and we'll be characters together at this event? Great. Bud, and then like they showed up to do that. Bud,
not dating, but
not
just
yet.
buds.
Right.
And then this was like March 2017, and then showed up for the day, and I was like, oh wow, I love being his teammate. This is so much fun. We had a lot of laughs. We didn't even have a booth then. We didn't even do a photo booth in those days. It was just roam around, take pictures, hi, how are you, pass out cards or talk to people. And then we did Spooky Empire 2017. That was our first photo booth. And then it was such a fun weekend. And then I was like, and by the last day of the show, it felt like a death. Like when you have to strike the show, it's over. You're like, oh, that was the funnest thing I've ever had in my whole lifetime.
We had natural chemistry.
Sure. Yeah.
When her and I when we first did Omni, I noticed how quick she was to come back at my comebacks.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh, this works really, really well. So when we did Spooky, we were so awkward because I said, I could make this into a friend. Me being the business guy, I'm like, I can make money doing this.
Yeah.
And so I said, let me do a photo op. I can do a photo op for this. And so I'm like, I don't have equipment. So I reached out to a couple of my friends who had equipment to make all the lighting.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, I don't have a photographer. I hired a friend who did photography, and I said, we've got to turn quickly. You've got to have a printer fast enough to print something quick and get it out. So I hired them, and we did it, but it was so, the timing and getting people was so undone yet. And it took a little bit longer to work out the kinks and everything.
Yeah.
And then I said, why do I have to hire out everybody? I'm not making, and after it was all said and done, I walked away with hardly anything because I had to pay everybody.
Yeah.
And so I said, why can't I do it myself? I can do it myself. So I started learning and researching
Yeah.
and what the theme parks do in their photo ops. There's great, you know, when you go see Spider-Man,
What kind of printer?
what printers they used and this and that. So
What can
I
we
started
learn?
learning and I started reading about systems that can do that. So I said, I'll do it myself. So
Yeah. So
I
now
said,
we got our whole.
now I've got it down to a
Yeah.
science, and it's a quick turnaround, but I can theme the heck out of it and
Yeah.
give you a picture. And now what we do, because of COVID, it's amazing that the software that I use to take the photos, they update constantly. So they actually included new COVID guidelines in the software. So now people can use a QR code the moment it takes a picture. Instead of getting a printed one, it pops up with a QR and you can scan it and it instantaneously downloads to your phone.
So it gives you a
smart.
digital, so they don't even have to touch the screen.
And they don't have to touch the
put
screen.
their email in
Because
or
of COVID,
anything.
they did it this way so that people don't have to touch
Yeah.
it. And if people aren't phone savvy, like her or I can use the touch screen and do it for them.
Right.
So they never have to touch anything. But
But we've been making adjustments like since
yeah,
the
constant
beginning.
adjustments,
Sure.
constant. It's always tweaking. Everything's
Yeah.
always a tweaking.
But
And
now
so,
we're at the point where we have our own photo equipment, our own everything. So it's like now we've become that like traveling circus where we're just like, all right, load everything in the trailer and go.
it's carnival. We
Yeah.
break down and we go to the next town.
Yeah.
But when we first
so
started doing it,
fun.
nobody was doing photo ops like what we were doing at Comic Con.
Character.
Nobody was. And so
Yeah.
ever since her and I started doing it, I noticed a couple other companies, a couple of like Cause a Commotion.
Yeah.
They're good friends of ours.
I think we're
And
all like writing
we're
together.
all of the photo ops though now, we're all really good friends, and because when someone has a question about equipment or something,
Oh,
they'll
yeah.
reach out to like Cause a Commotion, wanted to know our system. How do we do it? So I told them, this is the kind of software you use. This
We
is the
talk
kind of this."
shop. We
Always talk
learn
shop.
from them. They learn from us, and it's just like. But we all do like a different set of characters
they-
and a different thing. So we're
yeah.
never stepping on each other's toes anyway. We're like, you
Well-
know, it's
well-
all good. Like
Yeah.
this con is big enough for all of us.
For everybody.
Well,
That's what
yeah.
I love is that there's not like you're competing with yourself. You're trying to
Yeah.
do better, but you're not like crudding on anybody
Yeah.
else. And
No.
I think
Oh,
that's
no.
wonderful.
And we don't do.
Oh, we open up
We
to
try not to do
people.
characters that other photo ops are doing. But the
Yeah.
thing is, with the other photo op companies, they're the same. Like Cause of Commotion is Guardians of the Galaxy. That's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they always do. Where we totally
Well,
adapt. We
Okay.
We
change.
start and we've been Beetlejuice for a long time, but now we're kind of starting to go, okay, what else can we do? Because like we love Beetlejuice, but you know Rob like gets complacent. He's like, I don't want to wear that makeup. What else can I do? You know. and-
Sure.
I get it.
And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so fun.
It takes 2 hours to get in that makeup.
I believe
Oh,
it.
yeah.
But I like the
had to learn
challenge.
to do it.
I like the challenge, and so I told her, and if I see something, I'll go, I want to do that character. I want to do that,
Yeah.
and I'll research the,
You can let him.
I research the voice.
Use your muscles.
Yeah, you keep
Stand
doing
by
it.
for cat.
Yeah, stand by for cat. So
We love our animals.
I like a challenge, so I tell her I want to do these characters, and that's the thing with us. So our photo ops is you get immersed in the characters, and that's what I
Yeah.
want. I want people to be able to. A lot of times they forget about their picture. A lot of times we print them out, but they're staring at us so much, and we
Oh,
stay in character
yeah.
the whole time, and they walk away, and then we go, you forgot your picture.
Forgot your picture, wait. You know.
You truly do that though, because I recall when we met you as Lydia and Beetlejuice. Afterwards, I was like, I didn't know anything about your company at that time. And I was like, they could work at Universal. Like, they are so good.
You literally said that. I
I was
remember
like,
that.
they
yeah.
are like, these people know their stuff,
Yeah.
man. I was even like throwing out references, and you were bouncing back with me, and I was
yeah.
just like,
It's-
that's what I love.
It's fun to have that kind of interaction where guests can just like come into their favorite movie. And I've seen some of the photo ops where you get a character picture, but the character isn't really in character. Like, so we're like, okay, hold the props.
Hey, stand here for a picture.
Stand
That's pretty
here.
much it.
And we try and not like, turn and burn, love and shove. We're like, we'll have you in our booth as long as.
But our booth manager gets on to us. Dawn, she always runs the front. We needed a manager.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so Dawn handles all of the legal stuff. Like when we go, like when we first show up, Dawn goes and checks out the space.
We call
make
her
sure.
our head witch in charge.
Yeah.
That's our
She's from Jersey. That's why I made her
Oh,
manager.
yeah.
So
tough as
She'll
nails.
get it done.
yeah, she'll go
Oh,
check out, make
yeah.
sure we have space and all of our, in the contract, all of our requirements that we ask. And if
Yeah.
there's not, she'll go and seek it out.
Because most of
So-
the time we have to build the booth at the same time, so it's good to have that third person to go help. And then she usually runs the front of the booth to like take, you know, the POS system, talk
And
to people,
media-
answer questions.
Yeah, media
so-
always shows up and she'll give business cards. They'll exchange
Yeah.
business cards because they'll, a lot of times, like Channel 2 or they go, when they go to cons, they seek out all the unique things and they'll
Yeah.
want to show it on TV because it draws more ticket sales
Sure.
for the con. So a lot of times they'll come and see our booth and they'll want
Yeah.
to do an interview. And so Dawn handles all of that.
Yeah.
And she'll also get on to us if we take too long with a guest. Because her and I don't want to push you away.
We don't care.
But when we
We're
have a
like,
huge line,
hey.
I see Dawn looking, going like this, and I'm like, okay, all right. We're
All
good. So we try to.
She's the
spend a lot
bad
of time.
cop, so
Yeah.
she's allowed to be the
She'll
bad
go,
cop.
okay, they're done. She does that a lot. But yeah.
She was with us from the very beginning though, because when we got together 2017 Spooky, we were like, we need someone to help run the booth or, you know, be the front girl and like talk us up. And then so we were like,
James,
we had a
introduced
mutual
her.
friend. We didn't even know Dawn. So she shows up to help us on the first day. And she referred to you as my husband. And we were like, oh no, it's not like that. He's just my friend. I'm actually like engaged and he's married. So, yeah, we're just buds. Yeah.
Yeah, she goes.
So,
yeah.
and then like after that show happened, we were like, oh yeah, oh wow, what have I been missing my whole life? And then we just like, we had to make a giant like life switch. So, like, you know, we had to be honest with our other person and be like,
Yeah, I was
this
married for
is-
22 years,
Yeah.
and her and I met and like boom. But you know,
You were miserable.
I
were a miserable
I was
man.
miserable for many years.
But, you know, I always felt bad for him going to work. I'm like, how are you, Rob? At work, he'd be like,
I was
"Ah."
sad. I was sad. I just had a sad disposition.
But I didn't realize until, like, working on that level as a team, like, on our own, like, venture of some project, like, oh, this is great. You know, let's do it again. But then I was like, oh, I can't just be friends with you. That's boring. No, I think I found my person. And then, you know, this is our 4th Valentine's Day together, and like, you know, it's crazy how we've come, and we're just ready to do like more shows and stuff, and just
And that's
see, like,
our whole business name.
building from.
She's the cause, and I'm the effects.
Yes.
She builds the costumes and everything. I do all the technical work. So
Yeah.
that's how the name came about.
And we didn't have CosFX.
Well,
our first
I said
year.
there's always a cause and effect,
Yeah.
and so
yeah.
that's why we
Yeah.
went cause and effect.
Because when we started branching out from
Dig it.
Beetlejuice, we were like, what do we call ourselves to kind of put everything together as like an
Right.
umbrella of like all the things we love that we do? Then, you know, what are we going to call ourselves? And then, you know, getting the YouTube channel started, we're like, we need to make a show about what we build, like all the behind the scenes of like what it takes to build a show at a convention. Like, so we're kind of slowly getting that started up. But
And I'm
Yeah.
writing a book called The Con Game,
Okay.
and it's all about the how we came about working at the cons,
Yeah.
all the behind the scenes of cons. You know, the parties, the celebrity parties that I've been to when I've done Comic-Cons.
and any teaching we could, you know, pass
you know,
on to someone that like we wish we knew when
So-
we started.
Yeah, and celebrities
kind
I've
of
come in
thing.
contact with that I know personally that, you know, how through cons.
Yeah.
And so doing the, you know, how to put in your application to get accepted to go to cons. Like all of the hints
Yeah.
and ins and outs I'm going to put into a book and one of these days.
We've
So-
got so many fires
I'd read that
burning.
You know,
I will totally read that book.
and so that's sort of information that I had been looking for prior as well, because
Yeah.
there's not a lot of that. Nobody wants to really share that information. Nobody wants to put it out, like how to be successful at
Oh,
certain sorts
yeah.
of things. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
A lot of times they'll be like, well, this is how I did it, but now like
Yeah.
this is how you should do it. This is how it needs to
Yeah.
be done.
Yeah, getting
So-
attention at a vendor.
Yeah.
You know, what gets attention, where to place, where to ask, you know, where to put yourself in the building. Like you request, I like to be over here. The way the
Yeah.
flow of people coming in, to best dress your booth to
Yeah.
make it most attractive.
Yeah.
For
Whether you're
sales.
an artist, a author, whatever kind of booth you have at the shows, like I'm sure they could pull something from what we've learned over the years. And like, to be fair, we are always still learning.
Yeah,
like,
it's always a work
no
in
matter
progress.
what we're doing, like we're always learning, growing and stuff. So it's like, it's like that talk shop. Like I love that side of the conventions because then we just talk to other like cosplayers and just the amazing things they build themselves. It's just like, I mean, I could nerd out with costumes all day long,
Sure.
like with people. So
And cons
then the tech
themselves,
side,
cons,
yeah.
the way that they are now, like even pre-COVID, the way that they were like before COVID was not the way that they were 5 years ago.
No.
There were times when we used to be able to walk up to celebrities at their booth, like not have to wait in a long line. You guys are in the makeup and effects game. One of the best people we ever met in our life is Doug Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And he was fresh off of being Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four movie, and you could just walk up to his table. And
We were in Chicago.
I used to have
just
a-
standing there.
I used to have a chin beard. He's the only man I ever let scruff my beard. He's just that sort of personal person,
I mean,
and you
yes.
don't get that connection anymore.
No.
No,
it's a money making thing
Exactly.
now.
You're on a conveyor belt, just moving
Yes.
right
Yeah.
through.
It's very love and shove. That's why, like, when people walk away from our booth, they're like,
I don't want that.
oh, and also that we make sure they like the photo before they walk
Yeah,
away with
I don't
the
wanna
photo.
walk away unless they're
like,
happy with it.
okay, no
We'll do
one's
it.
blinking.
Yep.
Like, do you guys like it? Because, people are picky. They're
We'll
like,
do-
oh, I don't like my smile in that, so let's take another one. And we're like, no worries.
I mean, we do have limits, but I told him, I said, do you like that one? I was blinking. I'm like, see, theme parks don't do that. They take a picture and you're done.
Yeah.
Right.
The celebrities, whether you're blinking or not,
Yeah.
they're going to take it and this is what you
Oh.
get. I don't want that. I want you to have the perfect picture. And when you're happy with
Yeah.
it, then we'll that. But we've had some where they couldn't get it themselves right.
Yeah.
And so Dawn's like looking at me going,
10 pictures
And
later,
so-
like,
and so we do about 5-6 pictures,
Yeah.
and then doing Beetlejuice, I'm like, this one looks great. You look great, and you really talk them up,
Sure.
get them really confident about their
Yeah.
mind, and
You don't want to be like, well, hey, photo paper's not cheap, so
Yeah.
we just.
oh, that sucks. Whoa. So eventually they'll be happy with it, but I want people to walk away happy because that's what it
Yeah.
is. Good publicity, just good. Her and I are just generally nice to people anyway. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
care
we don't.
who you are. You come in, and a lot of kids are, and that's another thing I'm going to talk about too. Kids are very antisocial that go to most kids are very. It's
Yeah.
hard to socialize in the general public. They go to cons to escape
Yeah.
and dress up because then they're part of everyone else.
Right.
And so
I love that about it.
and so we have this a lot of socially awkward kids come in, and so I really tone down Beetlejuice, and let them speak and
Yeah.
really interact with them.
And when you're in our
and-
booth, your family.
and your
like, that's how
family,
we treat
everybody
you.
that comes in there, I don't treat you like just stand there for a picture. You come in, you listen to them, and they have stories. There's so many stories
Oh,
that
yeah.
have people have people cry when they come in because they love the franchise.
Yeah.
We've had a couple propose
Oh,
in our booth
sweet.
at Spooky.
Oh, I love
They
it.
came in
Yeah,
and got a picture and left
2018.
and
Uh-huh.
left, and then they came back, and I'm like, oh, was something? And Dawn, I heard her saying like, was something wrong? They go, no, we're gonna get another picture, and he came back and his wife, no, his girlfriend and their kids, and took a picture. Her and I had no idea what was going on, and all of a sudden he stopped and said, okay. He
I
goes,
sort of did. I
"Oh."
sort of knew something
So
was up.
I didn't, and so he gets down on his knee, and I go,
Oh.
my God, and I see all these cameras,
Yeah.
like this is all planned. Dawn knew about it.
Yeah.
I didn't know about it, and she was like, and so I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna cry right now, and I was really emotional, and
It was so cute.
he proposed to her in our booth, and we got another picture for him for free,
Yeah.
and she started crying.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's crying.
She loves Beetlejuice. She was dressed as photographer Lydia with
Yeah.
the black hat and the black outfit and the camera and everything. And her kids were with her. And then after the proposal, she turns to her kids. She's like, "Did you know about this?" And they're like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'm like, "Oh, it was just so cute." So we were like, "Oh, that's one for the books." Like that was just such a fun moment. And like, we're like, whatever kind of surprise you want, let us know. We'll be in on it. And it's just like no con is a bad con. Like we always had a fun
No,
time, no matter what.
everywhere.
You know, and sometimes you don't have control of like certain things that happen. Like, oh, you didn't bring certain photo equipment that you forgot at home.
Okay. So
you know, that happens.
Boston. So Boston, we went there and we were setting up, and I'm going to the bins, and I'm going, where's the camera cord? I don't have the camera cord.
The one cord that would make our camera work and communicate to the computer, we didn't have it.
I'm like, we can't take pictures, and so her and I are scrambling, calling photo companies or photo stores in the Boston area, not knowing anything. I don't have nowhere to go, nowhere I'm going. We call this last photo company.
Little
they
mom
go,
and
oh yeah,
pop
we
shop.
have the cord. I go, we got to go.
Yeah.
I don't know how to drive in Boston.
Yeah, right.
So it goes from lanes to free for all.
Chaos.
Oh,
No
geez.
lanes.
Oh.
There's absolutely there's lines, divided lines. Then there's none.
It's not a grid like the way some cities are set up. It's just all over. And
So there's a 3-lane highway, a 3-lane road, and then no markers. So you hopefully everybody stays behind themselves.
Oh, Lord.
So I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? And so the downtown area, which we had to go in a park, Central Park area, is busy. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to drop you off. Just get out. Just get out.
I
Tuck and
jumped
roll,
out.
keep moving.
So it was. I said, get out. And then she goes over. I did loops around the park.
Yeah.
and I'm freaking out going, oh my God, I'm going to die. And I said, just flag me.
Yeah.
And so I do come around. She sees it. We're making eye contact. And then I'm thinking in my head, okay, please, I'm going to just keep rolling. You just die. So we did.
Oh, by the skin of our teeth, we made it happen.
I didn't even slow down. People honking at me going, go!
Oh my
And so I'm like, please just get in and let's go. So we did, and we got back. And I don't mind driving. I don't mind traveling. I don't mind driving into the cons because you know where you're going.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what hotel you're going into. You know, and her and I will study. Okay, this is the best way to get there.
Yeah.
I don't like the random drives.
No two
because I'm not
convention
familiar
centers
with
are the same.
And you guys know when you're in an unfamiliar city,
Yes.
you don't know where to go. I got lost coming back. I took the wrong turn in New York, and I ended up in the Bronx.
Oh.
And so I saw a guy.
You were very intimidated.
I was very intimidated, and I have our friend Monkey. His name's Monkey. And he looks like a guy that just got out of jail. Like he's a rocker.
He's like a
big
Bluto
beard,
kind of guy.
big guy, but he's sweet as anything.
That's
and,
usually the way they
so
are.
I'm driving. I'm like, they won't let me in. They won't let me in. And so we got pushed off the highway, and I ended up in the Bronx. And I see a car on blocks, and a guy talking to the car, and 2 prostitutes. And I'm literally like vacation. Roll them up.
East St. Louis, by the way, is a very accurate depiction of East St. Louis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, every city has that, so it's like when you're like, what am I gonna do? And I got a call from him because I was flying into Boston to meet him.
Oh yeah, she gets to fly.
Because me and our manager flew together because we were like, oh, I had to do something with work. We'll meet you
had
there.
to work. You had
That's
to work.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm lost in the Bronx. I'm like, it's okay. It's all right. Just don't make any eye contact. Just keep.
And Monkey
going.
goes, well, that's something you don't see every day.
Yeah.
We're like, we were at a stop, and that's when we saw the guy arguing with a car.
Yeah. Well,
And
Obviously, the car had it coming.
yes. Well, apparently it was up on blocks.
Yeah.
And so, or he was mad that the car got the tire stolen, and it was his car. So Monkey literally looks over and goes, oh, you don't see that every day. I'm not looking at anything. I'm driving. So
keep going.
I finally got back on the highway and got where I was going, but man, it's an adventure. It's an adventure driving. And then this one, she's our hotel navigator as we're driving. So she's looking at, she asks where we are, and then she finds hotels or Airbnbs. Because I told her, I'm like, I'm not going to be in a cheap-ass motel.
Yeah.
And
what city are you going to be in by the time you want to call it a night and stop, you know?
So, yeah.
I found this haunted bed and breakfast for them to stay in.
Amazing.
So
Just a few miles off the highway, so it wasn't too bad of a detour. And it looked so cool.
It looked like the
was,
Haunted Mansion.
Turn of the century, like maybe late 1890s when it was built, and it was just so pretty. And there was this room available with 2 twin beds. I was like, done. And I called the owner. hey, can you book this last minute? Sure, got it hooked up.
No, but he said no at the beginning until you talked to him about what. He was a nerd.
Because he was a Star Trek fan, and I saw on his
Because he was a
website.
nerd.
So I was like, do you like Star Trek? Because I saw these pictures of something in the house that was Star Trek, and he's like, yeah, I'm like, my boyfriend Rob is a big Trekkie nerd. He's like, oh, and he just like lit up, and I'm like, they're
Then he
on the
gave
way
you
to
the
the
place.
convention,
Yeah.
and he's like, oh, amazing. So it worked, and then like you guys got this.
We got
experience.
in about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in there because we were supposed to get in there sooner, but we got behind.
Sure.
But we pull up to this mansion and it's in the dark, and it's gorgeous, and he's uplighting. It looks like the Phantom Manor at Disneyland.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, this is really strange. So we park, and there's this little old gravel road to get to the back. I'm like, this is going to be Clue. This is going to be someone's going to be killed with a, you know. So we go in the back way, and you have to punch a code in to get in. It's really sophisticated, but it's in an old house.
You can check yourself in.
So
kind of thing.
you're quiet, and it's all wood floors, so it's...
Oh, that's
Creak,
awesome.
creak.
So he and I are trying to be quiet because there's other people staying. So we go to our room, and on the door, they have your name. And so he put a heart and put my name and his name like we were a couple. And I'm like, you.
I
and
did nothing.
I know. So best sleep I've had on these old beds.
Nice.
And then in the morning, you go downstairs. I never saw the owner,
Oh, yeah.
nor the cook. So we go downstairs in this old, it looked like from a movie. And you go in this dining room, and it's grand dining room.
Yeah.
And
Breakfast
had a
included.
buffet. There was a
So
buffet,
good.
but there was nobody else there. It was he and I. Never saw the cook. Never saw the owner.
No.
And we left. We got done eating and left. And I was like, that was really interesting. And then she books us another one that night, and it's gunshots, pot smoking, people arguing. And I'm like, where have you put us?
I'm like, it was the only place.
And
I
the
could
monkey
book.
goes, you're with me. You'll be fine.
That's amazing.
It's
I'm
just one
picturing,
night.
like Castle Frankenfurter with
Yes.
Brad and Janet driving up.
It
Like,
was
that's what I'm
beautiful.
picturing.
That's
Yeah.
how beautiful this bed and breakfast was.
You were Brad and Janet. Hi, we'd like to use the phone. Like.
Oh, thank God it wasn't storming. But there was a guest house, like where you parked was a little servants' quarters.
Okay.
And then you
Yeah.
have to walk this little winding as you're
Like a
walking
little,
up.
like,
if
mother-in-law
I
suite
if I
kind of thing.
filmed and panned up at this house, I mean that's how it looked like.
Yeah.
And there's rocking chairs. There's a deck that goes all the way around the house. And,
Well, if you're gonna travel across country, you got to do it in style.
Heck
And
yeah.
like, there's some great spots that we've like tried to get. So like on the next like after COVID, you know, things get back to travel, and like there's so many spots I want to stop
Food.
along the way.
the mom and pops, like she would do
Yeah.
that. She would Google all of the little. We didn't want to go to the franchises. We want to do the mom and pop. And she found this little mom and pop where you could get blessed and eat at the same time. Like they had a church revival tent.
Oh, Texas.
In
It was
Texas.
in Texas.
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah. And there was like the best barbecue ever. So we're like, oh, let's.
Isn't that
let's go.
every barbecue place in Texas?
Pretty much,
though?
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like free crosses if you wanted. There was like this
Yeah.
whole like side thing. We're like, okay,
Nice.
like, all right. But they had like really good pie.
The pies
and
were all homemade. Everything was homemade.
Oh my
Okra,
gosh.
everything was amazing.
It's so good.
But yeah, I mean, just getting back to.
We love the traveling though. Like that's just one of our favorite things. 'Cause
But our
it's
goal-
always an adventure. Like
Yeah.
before you even get to the show, like there's always all the stuff that happens.
Fueling,
so-
stopping at gas stations, and
Oh.
all the stuff I've seen at gas stations, fueling.
Yeah.
We hold on. We drove back to St. Louis a couple of years ago
Yeah.
to visit the family, and you know, she's typically got purple hair, and I've got a goofy mustache, and
Exactly.
we're rolling through Tennessee, and we stop off at a truck stop to refuel and everything
Smoky
like
Mountains,
that.
Tennessee. Those
Soon
are
as
not
soon
our
as
people.
soon as we walk in there, if
You
you could
gotta
almost
figure
hear the
out.
record scratch, like as soon as you
Yes.
walk in the door, right? And even like everybody in line up to the clerk, they all just kind of stop and stare. Like even the clerk just kind of like looked at us, kind of like these guys are trouble.
We're not.
Like-
We're not
like-
from
These
here.
guys are not from
You
here.
Yeah,
guys
right.
are trouble.
Yeah, yeah. So
And
we,
I'm like, I'm just looking for beef jerky.
Yeah,
I don't really
yeah.
care.
A little bit of an alternative look, and it's like people just look at you differently. It's so odd.
Like they were in a bubble. They've never seen someone
Right.
with colored
Yeah.
hair with hair like
Mohawk or whatever.
that. Hair with shaved hair. I mean, certain
Whoa.
places they're like,
Right.
I just kill them with kindness. I'm like, hi, how are you? Like I don't know what to tell you. You know, it's so interesting because like, you know, we see all kinds of walks of life, but I never feel the record scratch when anyone gets
And it doesn't
to us.
faze me. Nothing
No.
phases me
No,
anymore.
Not at all.
Well, it didn't really phase us except for
Yeah.
the fact that it was almost, you ever seen the movie
Well,
Dead Silence?
It
Yeah.
was
Where
like,
all sound disappears?
Yeah.
Like, that's what it felt like.
It was like
yeah.
2 o'clock in the morning though, so
Yeah.
we were just kind of like, this is probably not a place where we should probably hang out. But,
And that time in the morning, that's when all the freaks come out.
yeah,
right?
And
Yeah.
obviously, because we were there,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. The best kind.
we're the ones that the mothers warn them about. So
Yeah.
it's like, well, I'm just here to get a drink and some beef jerky, and
We
then we'll be
just-
on our way.
Yeah, we just want some gas and trying to get on our way. It's never a dull moment traveling. It's always been such a fun time. I just can't wait till things come back up again, and we'll see how things go 2021. I mean,
Mhm.
like August, MegaCon basically, and they have a Spooky Empire coming up. But
Oh yeah, that's now.
that's
I'm
soon.
still very.
That's very soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
April and August or April and October or something
But
like
we're
that.
definitely
yeah.
focusing on MegaCon, Fan Expo shows. Which,
What's our first one? Florida.
no, it's Boston. Oddly enough, it's like we have to drive to Boston, and then the very next week is the Orlando MegaCon scheduled. So we're like, it's
Soon
like
as
a
we drive
marathon.
in,
Boom, boom.
We have to
and
drive
then-
straight to the conventions. Well,
and then there's a Dallas
yeah.
show later, and then there's one in Canada,
Canada.
later on. So we're just like trying to just get whatever shows we can, and just be safe at the same time. So we'll just knock on wood.
And
you
then
know.
booking ourselves for Christmas. I told her exclusively, Grinch and Cindy Lou, I'm gonna book for like
Christmas.
conventions and not conventions, trade shows and stuff like that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna push for that this year.
So we'll just see how things go. I miss theater and
Sure.
everything because
like all
aside
the
from,
shows that you were supposed to do.
Yeah,
whole-
I primarily work as a costume designer for like regional cruise lines and like theater and stuff. So it's like everything just stopped, you know, dead stop. And so I miss like Fringe Festival and, you know, all those things that bring us together with the arts and stuff. But it's like we've just been, you know, at our home working on, you know, whatever we
trying
can.
to catch up on projects
Yeah.
to be ready.
Yeah.
But the good thing about our type of work is we can adapt
Sure.
to
Luckily.
whatever happens. Like we build.
Yeah.
What we've done now is we build, if it's specific characters, we build masks onto our masks. So you get the character's face,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's masked underneath.
Like Halloween, I did Pennywise, but I had like Spirit Halloween. We found this like latex mask. I cut this portion off just by itself, and I made this like teethy Pennywise kind of mask, and it was cool because then people would get closer and they're like, "Oh, it's a face
Wait, I'll
mask!"
show 'em.
Like they didn't know like that I had
Yeah.
a mask on.
I was actually going to comment that I noticed when you guys did Jack and Sally that you had like
Yeah.
a Sally face
Uh-huh.
mask that was like latex at the
Uh-huh.
same time, and that was really
Thank
cool
you.
looking.
We just trying to like hodgepodge whatever, you know, kind of stuff we
These
can.
were our characters that we did for the filming.
Oh yes, yes,
Drive
yes.
it. Yeah. So those
I
were our
love the makeup
movie
job.
characters. Yeah. That's so much fun.
It is just phenomenal.
And so you're wearing face masks inside of these costumes.
the-
Well, not these.
Okay.
I'll show you what those. Oh, there's us. There's our Sanderson sisters.
That was for the taping. But when we did the actual like photo op out
Oh,
of
there
those
we go.
characters, then
Yeah.
we had the masks. And then
That was our
Very cool.
we had them set up, and then we should have some of Merlin and Trixie
and that was
somewhere.
us as Columbia
Uh-huh.
and Riff Raff.
So much fun.
That's brilliantly done. It's definitely a forced perspective, and I love that.
Yeah, because they were like at least like 8 feet out. But
Yeah,
it doesn't
from where they're
seem
sitting.
Like it. But then
Oh,
if,
no kidding.
If
Yeah,
I was,
her and I are actually
I
really
was
far
kinda the
away from
closer
them.
Up character, so I would always have a mask just to like make sure they get their like emails put in or their QR code. But then just like trying to like get people into their seats and stuff.
Little ladies.
Oh,
Oh, that
yeah.
one.
Yeah, this is what Gretchen was talking about
Yes.
here. Yeah.
So well done.
So much fun, and it was great because then like you only have to do your makeup from your like cheekbones up, and so it did save us a lot of time. But like, you know, getting that bald cap on him, it's like doing the, you know, Uncle Fester makeup. But we had such a fun time, and at the drive-in they did the Rocky Horror.
Oh, Fester.
Oh, that's awesome.
I miss the show.
Now, you
show.
make like basically almost all the components for your costumes
Yes.
too. Like I saw you
Everything.
making your bald caps and stuff, and I
Yes.
thought that was a really cool process.
Yeah, all the
also.
makeup,
Yeah.
all the
Oh,
ball
wow,
caps,
that's
all this.
cool.
Yeah, there's Pennywise, and she's on
there's
still.
my Pennywise.
Everything's made in house. We don't seek out anything.
Sometimes I'll Frankenstein some stuff that I find at the thrift store, but like, you know, we always try and like find creative ways to do things, but you know, just working it out.
I hired my friends because
That's awesome.
he did Freddy. He did Freddy when Freddy was at the theme park.
Okay.
So, and he did it, and he did Jason. So I said, guys, come, I'll hire you because they're furloughed right now too.
Yeah.
So I wanted them to
Yeah.
make some money.
That was so much fun.
We bought so many backdrops, like for the.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we needed like a backdrop for everything.
Oh, see, that's interesting because I was wondering how you were able to get
For
the
the
colors on all the
Santa.
green screen. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? Like
yeah.
I've got
No.
green screen, but you've got like so
Oh.
many different colors going on there that it's
Uh-huh.
hard to.
Yeah. We
what
had
did
to
it-
get the
So we bought
Printed
on Amazon.
backdrops.
Amazon loves us.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my
we
God.
just bought like multiple backdrops that weren't that
Yeah.
expensive. They're like what,
$30.
$30,
Yeah.
and you just getting the colors right on the camera.
Yeah.
They turned out great.
I loved how that worked.
That's
So
so
that was our
awesome.
like Christmas backdrop for the whole like December month because we're like it works for all the characters, but so much fun.
Your costuming skills are absolutely spectacular.
Thank you.
Like, as
I'm
somebody
so
who cannot
excited.
hardly sew a pillowcase, I am just. I bow
I-
down.
I have a
I've
bunch
been
of socks that I'm
sewing.
still waiting to get darned. That are,
Yeah.
that's not gonna
He's
happen.
not darned
It's not
yet.
gonna
Oh,
happen.
those darn socks. Oh my
That's right.
gosh.
We'll just buy you new socks. It's okay.
I love sewing. I'm just like that crazy person that loves to figure out like how things are put together with a pattern and you know, I've always been sewing. Like I started with the pillowcase and then I started sewing my own Halloween costumes like by the time I was like 12 or something. I had my mom like teach me 100,000 times how to thread the machine and I'm like, "Can you show me again?" But then eventually I learned and I just like kind of started teaching myself like how to do makeup and I just have no formal training because you know like school is so expensive but
Sure.
And if you want to
You know.
learn something now, though,
yeah
YouTube it.
YouTube, absolutely.
exactly
If people want to
I
learn, I tell
totally
people
can
all the
relate to
time.
that.
it's at
Yeah.
the tip of your fingers. Like if I don't know how to do it I'll try to look it up and see like if there's like a better way to do it.
It's
or
such a
just-
good research tool.
It really is. I love that kind of stuff. So like any kind of thing is a challenge for us. So we're just always making more costumes and right now we've got Ghostbusters. I think
That's our next one.
That's the big
And then
big
the one after that, we're doing Labyrinth. That's the year after.
Ooh.
We're a big Henson fan.
Yes.
We just love like
So we're gonna make
love all
make
that.
the Goblin King throne.
Okay.
And here's Dawn's analogy, and this is hers. I never thought I looked a lot like Bowie, but
that makeup though.
the makeup though. But we actually during COVID we started doing album covers. Like every week, we would recreate the album covers of all of Bowie.
Yeah.
We haven't released them yet. We actually did, and I'm like, wow, I do look like Bowie. And then when she put me in Labyrinth, and Dawn goes, "You're gonna have panties thrown at you." She goes, "I'm gonna have to get a squeegee."
Oh, that's
Oh my
hilarious.
god. It's Bowie. It's all
but
Bowie.
we're gonna do the recreation of the throne,
Okay.
and I'll be
Yeah.
up there. She'll be in the ballroom
Yeah,
dress.
it's gonna be the ballroom scene with those like Venetian costumes and I really want to get a brick wall somewhere with the worm puppet. Just
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I love that character and he's just like I'll just have someone like puppeteer him when people like interact with him. And that could be like the first thing you take a picture with and then you can go into like
Okay.
Jareth's lair or something and it's like you know, the ballroom. It'll be like a mix of the two sets together, I think. And then just, because I just love those costumes.
And she's been
so
building
much.
my costume. Like she's got my boots already. She's building
It's that
handcrafting.
jacket.
She's taken still shots of his entire outfit.
Well,
She's going to start
yeah.
handcrafting all of that.
That's
Well,
amazing.
it's fabulous when you can get great reference photos from like YouTube or just the online archives of like film used costumes. Like they had the Henson exhibit where they had the ballroom costumes on display, so you could get like a really good 360 perspective of the costume. So it's like great reference. And then like with Gozer, there was these pictures of they uncovered the Ghostbuster costume from the original screen used Gozer. So I've taken those photos just to see like what kind of fabrics did they truly use, and then so now that's kind of set aside, and now I've got all the materials. It's just a matter of like stitching those on. And at the moment, Gozer's got the lights and the first 80% of the bubbles sewn on, but it's going to be like another 80 hours. I have a feeling like just hand stitching all that stuff on.
The fun part is researching and finding the real materials.
Yeah.
Going back, because
I try and get it as close as
it
I
was
can.
made in the 80s, so a lot of
Yeah.
the materials aren't available anymore, but you can research, you can find them, and that's the
as you
fun
can.
part, is discovering, like when I build the time machine, knowing what all the real parts are and recreating, finding all those parts online, and we're still we have a monitor this size at the shop, and when we build it, we have reference photos, because a certain wire has to be placed a certain way.
Sure.
And so, devil in the details.
Yeah.
So researching is just so much fun. And that's half the thing. And especially when you get the product finished and the guests look at it and go, oh my God, this is amazing. This is wonderful. And, you take pride in getting it and doing it right.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, you do it right and do it to the best of what it originally was. And people have a lot of, they respect, when they see the kind of work and detail you put into it.
And the costumes, the sets, like when you guys came to meet Beetlejuice, we had the wedding set, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So that was like our first set we ever built together.
Yep.
And that was so much
scale.
fun. To scale, because Winona Ryder and I are the same height. So then we took a projector and
outside.
with that scene at night, we projected it onto the wall and had that big slab of foam to carve the wonky arches. So, because we were like, I was going to draft it, but I'm like, I would not get those lines just right.
And it was with
if we
Winona
project
Ryder
it.
standing there. So it's a picture of Winona
Of that
and
scene.
Michael Keaton standing there. And then she put herself in that same position. Then I pulled the...
So you could scale it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
and then
so
I
it's
pulled,
like the same
and
size.
she stood like her, and I pulled back until her and Winona were the same height.
Yeah.
And so then it would put the arches in the right scale. So then she sketched on the foam, and then we cut it out, and it's the perfect scale to match
It
the
worked.
people.
We've taken those arches all around, and they've been beat up so much, but it's like we did the kind of
Monster
Elmer's
mud it.
glue, the paper mache trick, but it's you use brown paper, and you could slam that thing against the table, and the paint
now it
won't
won't
chip.
break.
Nothing's gonna break. So it's like we did that. We carved it out of foam, then we paper mache'd the front end, and then dry brush painted and glow painted it. So it's like that was our first set, and we're like, it's our first baby. And then making that little Reverend guy with the Beetlejuice set and his little book and stuff.
Which is a costume. So if we ever had, and we have a couple of our friends, our little people friends, that they can get into it.
I have a friend that really wants to play the Reverend, and if I put a microphone inside of the helmet head, he'd be like, "Ooh, you Lydia," and be like the full character.
Or freak
and-
people out, because
yeah.
when he moves, they're like, "Oh my God, it's really
That's right.
it moves."
Oh yeah, and they would love it. Yeah, Charlie would love that. But eventually, we want to do the waiting room,
Yeah.
the Beetlejuice. There's so many things that
We'll,
we're like, I
we'll,
wanna
we'll
do
have
that.
multiple photo ops
Dante's
as you go in.
Inferno. There's so many sets and scenes, but the wedding one's always
Yeah,
my
that was always
favorite.
that's always the big one that people always request.
Yeah, it's what brought us together,
It's your
and
first baby.
it's such a show thing. And when little kids that have no idea what Beetlejuice is, they come up and they're like, they see Lydia and she's like this big, this princess, and then they see this scary guy and they're like, whoa. But then they kind of I'm the good cop, so I come up and I draw the kids in. They're like, okay, and then you're kind of you tone it down a little bit, and they're
but
like,
I can always
okay.
get kids to come in. If I kids run to me, I have kids run to me all the time, and I go, "It's not mine, I swear, it's not mine." But most of the kids will come up to me.
I've had a couple
Grinch
kids
was a
that
little-
do know who you are.
Yeah.
And they would want to say your name 3 times, and it's just it's so cool when you meet the coolest parents with the coolest little 6-year-old, and you're like, how do you know that? Oh my gosh.
You're a bad man.
Yeah.
You treat her bad.
You want to high five because they're raising their kids right.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So many cool parents at these cons. I'm like,
And they've
give them props for that.
We've only had one or two that did come and
Cry or
and well no
something.
they go, well, we're gonna wait till they're a little bit older to show them Beetlejuice. Like some of the
Yeah.
kids don't know what it is, but of course the parents are like geeking out, but they go, we're gonna wait till he's a little older. But then we have ones that started watching it when they were 5,
Oh my gosh.
and they're like totally. Remember the one kid that was dressed like me,
Yeah.
a little wedding Beetlejuice, and he was
yes.
like that big.
Perfect
And he
suit,
goes,
everything.
all he does is he walked up to me, and I thought he was going to hug me. He walked up to me, turned around, and went, and I went, I guess I'm doing that, okay. And so,
In
so
character,
he's
so
full
well.
character.
That's awesome.
And then I hear him going, hey.
Yeah. I had that little kid go up and they go, nice effing model. I'm
Yeah,
like,
Whoa.
no, they always go, do model.
oh my god. And it's this little kid. I'm like,
And I did
All
put
right.
a horn in my crotch one time
Yeah,
for
I
like a
did
hot
that.
minute, and what happened is it like
Fell.
fell out of my pants, and it went down to my leg, down to the
Like,
bottom.
oh,
I'm like, I
whoops.
can't. Oh
you
crap!
see nothing, ladies. You see nothing.
No, ladies, nothing. Didn't know. But yeah, it's great though. We just keep developing more and more, and we're really enjoying it. And it's just being isolated though, with COVID and everything. It's a bummer.
You are enjoying your pinball baby though.
Yeah, see, that's another. I have to keep. I got to keep my mind stimulated. So, and starting to coding and writing script for this, I just love how electronics, like sewing for her is electronics for me, where I can look at something and I know what resistors and what, from A to Z, how it will work and why it works, and
It's like a second language. It's crazy. I don't know how you do that stuff, but I'm like, all right, more power
it's no
to
different
you.
than anything else that you do, like your cake making and
Yeah.
and you look at it and go, well, I know the techniques that work and stuff like that, and you with your CAD designing, it's a niche that people just, it works, it clicks, and you get it.
Yeah. Like I couldn't show you how to make a dress to save your
I don't
life.
want to make
but-
it.
Are you sure?
It won't match my eyes.
So when it comes to licensed characters from Universal Studios, who you guys have both worked for,
Yeah.
when it comes to doing your own take of those characters, is there any sort of stepping on the toes of the parent company?
Well, we know, because that wasn't COVID. No, we do. We do it very tastefully.
Yeah.
Like we were still working at Universal on a regular basis, but we weren't doing those characters.
No.
And they all knew what we did. They all knew. What
They
we
always
did.
had a rule, like if you're not currently doing that character, then you're good.
Yeah, because when Beetlejuice closed, I didn't start doing Beetlejuice out on the street. That sounds horrible. Until pretty much when I left
The show,
the Graveyard Review. So I didn't technically do the character anymore. And so that's how they were like, okay, we're cool with it. And same thing with Marty. Marty wasn't renewed as a character in the park anymore, so I'm able to do Marty outside the park. And
But it's all of our own
and
creation.
it's our own
I love how
version.
also like doing the wedding Beetlejuice, it's like a totally different set, totally different costume. So we're not doing that like stripes suit. Even though we have that costume, we don't like to go out in that classic one because we just love doing the lesser known scenes, and people just always light up when they see that wedding scene that we're like, we want to bring that to life.
Her red wedding dress is what
Yeah.
pops and
It
what people
truly
see it.
Our
Mhm.
first
first
time
PC.
doing those characters, we did have Tim Burton come back to us and comment nice costumes or nice
Really?
character. So like we were like, we're on to something good here. If Tim Burton, like I should have screenshotted that. I have to find where that is, but that was like our first when we did Omni. It was that photo of us that Tabitha took of us, and Tim Burton said nice costumes, and I was
that
like,
too much?
oh my gosh, and just nerded out because I'm such a big Burton fan, and
That feels like
But-
that would be like an awesome
Yeah.
compliment.
It's super validation is what it
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
but like we've always been in the green because we just like give out to charity every year.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like when we have reached out to WB or something that just like, we've never heard back, so we're like, okay, I guess no news is good news. So like, we're just as long as we keep that integrity of like keeping it true to the film.
Yes, and I don't do any. We don't do any risk. Like
Yeah.
I've had random character, requests going. Can you do this with holding my leg and stuff like that? And
Some of it, you're like,
a lot of stuff's very borderline
yeah.
because I don't want to lose the integrity of the character,
Yeah.
especially Back to the Future. I don't do anything that could lead to something because Bob Gale I know real personal, and he keeps track of all what I do and
Back to the Future.
and Back to the
stuff.
Future.
Yeah.
And so I just had a request for me to be in Miami at a strip club. There's a strip club that wanted Doc and Marty to be there because they're looking to the future. And I'm like, no, because Marty would never go there. Marty would never go into a strip club.
Or like,
So-
that would be
and they were
some
gonna pay me
interesting
good.
pictures.
They were offering good money, and I turned it down.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I'm not going to lose the integrity of that character, and I won't.
Yeah, because then if Bob Gale ever saw those pictures, like, you just don't want to.
Yeah, it's a can of
tread
worms that
lightly.
you don't want to deal with.
Yeah, because
That
then it sets
particular
that
character
precedent.
is just near and dear to me, and
Yeah.
so I treat it very seriously
Yeah.
and everything.
And usually with the realm of cosplay, I feel like people just don't bug you when it's cosplay because it's just like, your own creation, art, just paying tribute to said film. So like we've always been, like copacetic with everything, but we do like, we're like, obviously this isn't our design, but it's just an homage to our favorite films and stuff. So people are just, we just love creating.
Yeah, I've never
that.
had a problem with anybody. I've never had anybody come into our booth going, you're ruining Christmas.
Yeah.
But everyone's always been very, very sweet and nice and accepting, and we
Oh, yeah.
we do the same thing with everybody. It doesn't
I
matter.
just love like whatever kind of character, like someone in costume cosplay comes up as whatever character, we like interact with them as that character because then we just get to play, back and forth.
Me doing voices,
Yeah.
and Beetlejuice can always change voices.
Right.
That's what he
Yeah.
does. So when people come in as different characters, like a couple Back to the Future characters come in to the booth
yeah.
with Beetlejuice,
Yeah.
I'm like, I kind of like that, and I'll start doing Marty through Beetlejuice,
Oh, fun.
and they're like, holy shit!
Well,
So
that's
it's fun.
totally a Beetlejuice move.
Exactly.
He would
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
do that.
He can insert himself in any scenario, any world.
Yeah, he
and
always
he's just
adapts.
like, what?
He
But
can go in and out of anything. and
Lydia,
so-
I feel like it's
she's
maybe-
always rolling her eyes at me all the time.
Right.
I've always related to Lydia, like, ever since I watched the movie, probably when I was 5, and I was like, oh, this is me. This is me. Because, my whole life is a dark room, and I was always that, like, gothy kid that wore all black, that had, did photography, and just was, like, keeping to myself in my art room, and... I was a little bit of the outcast, so I was like, when I saw that, I was like, that's me. So I'm like, it's so great, like, living through that and seeing all the other, like, Lydias out there, because, like, so many cosplays of Beetlejuice at cons, and it's just so fun
There's
to
a lot
see
of good ones.
people
And there's a lot of bad
spin,
ones.
That's
like, the
true.
gender bent, and, like, the, like, crazy stuff that people come up with, and it's
But
so
they
cool.
love you because her dress is a princess. Like all the little girls who are like Belle and all these,
Oh,
they go,
yeah.
oh my God, your dress looks amazing, and they spin around because they think that you're a princess.
I'll be whatever they want me to be and, call it a day. 'Cause, like, they're just so cute when they
That's
run up
awesome.
and they're like, Lydia! Or Princess Girl, I don't know. And then they just hug you. And
Princess
it's just
Girl.
Yeah.
the sweetest thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, oh gosh, so many little kids. I'm like, we'll never have any, but like, it's so cute to see them at the shows, like in their happiest moments, and they're not being fussy or anything. They're just like in their, in the zone.
Yeah, we've had kids that come
So
up to us,
cute.
and I had this one kid come up to me, and he was a little challenged, and he was talkative, and his mom started crying, and Dawn told me this later, because Dawn was standing next to her, and when I found out, he doesn't talk to people.
Oh.
He
Wow,
does
yeah.
not.
And he totally opened up to
he
you.
like like we were best buds.
Yeah.
And totally talked to me. Everything was great, and I didn't think anything of it because I didn't see any signs of that.
Right.
And Dawn told me later on that she said that he's mentally handicapped. He has a very hard time socializing, but Beetlejuice is like his favorite movie, and
Crazy.
Yeah.
that's therapy. And that's what I was saying with
So
a lot of kids who are
sweet.
antisocial. It's therapy. Like the cons are therapy for the kids because they can be
Yeah.
anything but themselves, and makes
Oh,
them
yeah.
feel most comfortable. And that's why her and I love to see the people embrace and come in and really enjoy it.
Oh yeah.
So
Well, it is the
Never
cool part
talk
about
about
cons is because you're amongst your people. Like
Totally.
we're all into the fandom.
We're all nerds.
As far
Yeah.
into we wouldn't even be here if we were not elbow deep in fandoms.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like those are our people. So we're
Uh-huh.
like you can finally feel comfortable, and that's
I
one
love
thing I
that.
love about the cons is that it's like it allows people to be comfortable.
Absolutely.
And I think that your attention to detail when you're creating these sets, I think it really shows because it shows how much you love the characters. And it's like, because you love it, because I can see you love it when I go to your sets and I stand in front of your beautiful things and I hold
so you stand there and just observe.
I observe
Yeah.
everything. I'm a detail person, so I can tell the paint strokes. I'm a
Yeah.
creator too, so I look at that and I'm
Absolutely.
like, I can see the love that was put into this
Because it emanates.
because it
Yeah.
emanates, and it's like it brings the energy. So people want to be there because we could tell
Yeah.
that there was, this wasn't slapped together with some stuff you got at
No.
Costco.
This isn't a
and-
quick buck that
it's
you're
a
just
lot
trying
of
to
hard
Yeah.
work.
and
it-
that's what makes it.
Well,
so
that's great
special.
because
Yeah.
we don't get to hear that on a patron walking by perspective
Yeah.
going, okay, I stopped for a while, I'm going to watch
Yeah.
for a while, and then that's when you make the decision whether you want to come in, you want
Those
to
are
come in or
the-
not,
Yeah, those are the people I like to talk to the most. The ones that like stand back and just like
and just
watch
observe for a
the
while.
big
Yeah.
picture of everything. Because it's like I want to know like what they see, how they see it. Like what's their observation. Because I'm always trying to like make things better, smoother, or include more people. So it's just like it's always cool to see that perspective. Because like we look at this like. This is just how we do it, but then it's nice to see when people just like appreciate all those like little things because
Oh, yeah.
it's so much time and like I feel like this whole thing is only gearing up where it's like we're not doing it for the money, although like pay your artists like
You
we're
still
starving
have
artists.
to live.
You still
gotta pay the
have to
bills.
be able to buy groceries.
But it's
But we do it.
Yes.
We do
Yeah.
like 90% is paying the bills. No, I'm just kidding. No, I would say 90% is for the love of it, and the rest is
Yeah.
paying bills.
Sure.
Because it's like they don't equate.
I wouldn't be
to the
doing it
same
if I
thing.
didn't. I wouldn't give up my job, my regular full-time job,
Yeah.
to go and do this. But I know, I know it can happen. I know it can only get better, and
Yeah.
we're going to expand
Yeah.
because we have the drive, and
I
just like
know.
you, when you have a passion for something, and you want it enough, and you push it enough,
Yeah.
it happens.
Absolutely.
And
you
when
can
you-
totally manifest it.
Oh man.
It's all about manifesting.
Absolutely.
That's what we believe wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Is like you put it into the world,
Yeah.
you make it grow.
And it's
Yeah,
like
when you
the
put it out
the law of attraction. Like you get what you put out into the world, and like just, I've noticed that the more I've consciously done that, the more it's like things just kind of like those coinkydink kind of things. Like, and then how like Rob came into my life, and it was just like I'm like we're onto something. Like we're onto something that's never quite been done at this capacity, and if it's been done, like let's just keep
Done.
like we're just gonna keep writing the book on it. And I think that like more and more there's gonna be interactive fun things for people at shows, because I feel like the conventions are gonna keep happening for a long
Absolutely.
time. Like you think of how conventions were 10 years ago, and they're not at all like what they are like
they've
in
morphed and gotten
2019.
huge
so,
now. I mean, you have to come back.
Yeah.
You can't do it all in one day. Like MegaCon Orlando, it used to be you could knock it out in one day, and it used to be in the smaller part of the convention center.
Yeah.
But now it's in the large area. It's gotten massive.
It's huge.
And you have to come back a second day to get everything sometimes.
Yeah.
And
Because
don't try to go to panels or anything like that. On top of that, you need the whole weekend
Yeah.
if you're going to do that.
especially if you have
sure.
certain panels that you want to go see.
Yeah.
It's either you spend a day to watch all the panels, or you go and look at
Yeah.
all the vendor room.
Mhm.
And you
I
can't
used
do both.
to be a cosplayer that would like go to the cons, like not like before we joined forces. Like I would just go to the cons.
She went when
and
I was doing
cosplay.
Marty.
I did. I was there. I saw you.
Because we had the car at MegaCon, and
Yeah.
I was by myself working.
What was I? I was Tank Girl.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I was tank girl, like busting through. I'm like, hey Rob, and I didn't want to bother you because you had a big line. But then, like, I remember walking around. It's so much fun. Like, you love doing the cosplay, and then people, you know, stop you every 5 minutes. But it's so much fun having a booth where they like come to you, and like, you kind of built this little like world for yourself. And instead of like running around all the cons, it's like it's nice to have that little like hub, you know, and have them come to see us. So it's so much fun. It's definitely like more for the heart of the art rather than the money,
I've been working
you know.
cons since 2005. I actually worked cons. Like, only went 2 years as a guest, and I got a trip to Vegas out of it because I did Marty, and no one had really seen Marty, and I was wandering around with my hoverboard, and a guy came up to me and goes, "I could use you," and it was my the DMC show in Vegas.
Oh.
And that's when I went and did that for the first year in 2007, and ever since then it's been skyrocketing.
That's awesome.
It's been so much fun just building on that stuff, but I love it.
So when it comes to deciding what you want to do next, with building props, characters, whatever, how much thought goes into that? Do you just look at something and go, that's pretty cool, let's do that? Or is it a character that you kind of have an affinity for to begin with?
Definitely that. Like, we at the top, we just love the character so much, and then go, but how can we make this like something immersive that people can go into? And then you also have to think like big picture. Okay, we can't make the entire set, but like, what of the set can we make?
What's the most
you
important?
know, what's the most important parts? How can we travel with this? How can it, you know, break down in a way that we can fit everything Tetris style in our truck, you know? And it's tricky with these big sets, but I think like Gozer this year is going to be the biggest challenge, because I think even though the wedding arches is a lot, it does break down nice and small. So then this Gozer set with the terror dogs, they're massive.
2 full-scale terror dogs, and it's a 6x10 stage.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's going to be a massive stage, and it's about this high, and that hasn't been done.
So we'll have to see.
We look at it. She looks at it that way. I look at it in a financial, and I go, okay, this franchise was popular. I look at it. It's popular. The characters are popular. They'll turn. It'll be a good turnkey.
Yeah.
But I look at it as in going, okay, this would sell. This would do well. This doesn't do well. So I try to look at films and like what growth of followers of that film.
Yeah. The demand of the character.
The demand at the time. Even nostalgic
Yeah.
ones, I go, okay, this is how big it was then. Would it go over well, and would it translate for the cons? And because that's what Dawn's very like. We throw ideas at her. She goes, that won't do well. This will do well.
She
This
just wants
kid's
us
right."
to keep doing Beetlejuice.
Because that's her favorite. And she's like, I want you guys to. I'm like, no, I want to. People have seen that, and I said, I gotta, you know, we did this year, this next year, because that way it's something new and fresh.
Yeah. Sure.
Because people would come back to get another picture of us doing Beetlejuice and Lydia, but we've lost those people that came the first time.
Right.
So I want it to always be new every time, because those people get to come back, and then these people see something new, and then next year it'll be these people that get to see that, but these did last year, but this is something new.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice, we did the Hawaiian. Beetlejuice Goes to Hawaii. We did that one. It was real well because that was supposed to be the sequel.
Yes. I
Yeah,
recall,
yeah.
So we did that.
It was a moonlight beach backdrop, so we were moon bathing. So it was very like gothic luau,
Oh, okay.
like style, like as if Lydia and Beetlejuice went on a honeymoon. Because then that was the Dallas show. So each day we did a different theme. First day was
3 days,
just
3 sets.
classic stripes on Friday. Saturday was the wedding scene. And then Sunday was the honeymoon. And it was great. Sunday is like the relaxed day of the con.
And that
so
was
people
striking
are-
and building sets every day.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
That's
impressive.
a lot. Yeah.
Well,
It
I
was a
wanted to
lot.
try it. So yeah, it was wedding arches, and then another backdrop, and then another backdrop.
The grave. We
build.
brought the grave, the Beetlejuice grave, and the arch.
And the arches,
Oh.
and the honeymoon set. So we had to come in earlier than we normally do, and strike the set
Sure.
and rebuild.
and theme it. Oh my gosh. There was such a like
And
Go,
we
go,
put it
go.
all
That's a huge undertaking.
in a 10 by 20 booth. We were able
Yeah.
to Tetris all those sets in a hidden area and still be able to,
Oh,
because
yeah.
we couldn't go back out to our trailer every time. So we were able to keep
Oh.
everything layered in
Yeah.
and hidden within the booth to where we could change it out and still be within that 10 by
Yeah.
20.
I see. Okay.
Because 10 by 20 sounds big,
Yeah.
but it really isn't.
Not.
It's really tiny, and be able to put those arches back somewhere where it's hidden.
Oh yeah.
We made it work.
We did. We had to tuck everything in, and then we basically had the grave up on a 6-foot table so people could stand in front of it.
Okay.
Because like that thing you couldn't hide anywhere. That's a huge piece.
And
but-
one year at MegaCom, half the convention hall lost power.
Oh,
Oh no.
I remember that.
Oh yeah.
But the cool thing is I had it set up where we had I had a battery system and we had temp power, so people could still come and get pictures, even in the dark. And then they finally got the power back on again. But I
We made
remember
it
that.
work.
Yeah, yeah, it was great. It was so funny. All the crazy stuff that happens.
necessity
Yeah.
is the mother
Yeah.
of invention.
I'll
Absolutely.
be honest. I would not have thought about bringing up backup power.
Oh
Like,
my
that's-
gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be the last thing I would think I would
No.
need at a place like that.
You just gotta wing it. Like when that happens, you're like, all right, I guess we're taking phone
And
pictures.
and it's funny. It's all the vendors. You figure now that sitting all weekend gets boring. You know, some alcohol kind of gets like some vendors bring alcohol. It's the funniest thing. When her and I left our booth, because we have to walk out the main thoroughfare and there's all the garbage cans, and everybody's cleared out, we're walking and all you see in the garbage cans is empty claw.
During a
White
White
Claw.
White
Claw.
Claw. White Claw.
At the
Because at the end of the evening,
strike
all
day.
the vendors dump all their trash. And so when we're walking
White
out,
Claw.
it's like White Claw, White Claw, White Claw. I'm like, oh, smart guy.
That's how you say it so perfect.
Yeah.
That's how
all
you
the
did it.
time.
I
Oh
mean,
my God.
that's Beetlejuice's go-go juice. I mean,
my God.
that, you know, you standing for 10 hours.
Oh my
Yeah.
You
gosh.
know,
And staying on the whole
Yeah.
The
time.
whole
Yeah.
day.
I
It's
mean-
a 10-hour day easily. Like
Sure.
of nonstop. The only time
Big
that her and I,
day.
and she would get mad at me because we wouldn't eat. We would go all, and you know,
Oh,
she,
yeah.
her
When-
blood sugar gets low, and she's like, I have to stop. But I
gosh.
can go all day.
Yeah.
I as long as I have a bathroom break once or twice, I can continue to go and go and go.
Yeah.
But she's like, we got to stop. We got to take a break. We got to eat because I forget.
Lydia
Sure.
turned into a pumpkin,
And
she's
so
behind
we-
the booth
we actually
eating
stopped.
Like
Lydia's
We
this.
hangry.
sit. We actually sit in our booth, and people are walking by, and it's like us having a picnic. So I'm like,
Because we have like the astroturf on the floor, and we're just like sitting there with our lunch, like
because we don't have a place to break.
Yeah.
no.
Now
What are
we
you gonna
have
do?
had our booth big enough where we would have a break space in the back, but most of the time the 10 by 20 we have just enough room, you know, to rechange in there.
We just
Sure.
stand and
So we just sit on the grass
Eat
on our
lunch in
astroturf
character
and
and,
eat
like-
in character. We have to be in character.
Sure.
So
Well, that's just all your training for years at the
Yeah.
parks and stuff.
Yeah.
You've got to learn how to wing it when you get, you know, the San Juan family
Oh my
from
gosh.
Arizona, and you know, like, you have to
Yeah.
be able to wing it. So
Oh,
you,
yeah.
you guys have been training for years. You didn't realize it.
no,
Yeah.
it just comes naturally. Like I feel like we're always just like
I am the
finding
Beetlejuice
ways.
is that clown that you go to the carnival that you throw the balls at
Sure.
to knock him into the water.
Oh yeah.
He is nasty, but he's cool. But he can give it right back at you like really, really quick.
Yeah.
And that's what I love doing because I have guys walking by, not even in the booth, they're going, blah, 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 and I'll go, blah, 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 and they're like, run on! And they'll keep going.
But they remember that too, because I
They do.
am totally the person too. I'm pretty witty, so I like to kind of talk to, and I will yell at you from across the room
Oh,
and
yeah.
not even care.
Yeah.
But I will remember that. I'll be like, oh look, I just made a friend, you
Yeah.
know, and
Oh
I'll
my
just kind of
gosh.
go. So it's like even
Exactly.
those interactions are always
Those
very
moments that you
memorable.
go, they made contact, they
That's
were
right.
cool.
Right. Yeah.
It's
You're
so
like,
funny.
I see you, you're my friend.
Yeah.
You know, I get it.
We
Yeah.
collect friends like throughout our adventures.
We
and I
have
love
gotten
that.
such a fan base of friends that, and it's weird, like when you guys said, "Oh yeah, we know all about you," like I get that all the time. They go, "Yeah, we've looked at your stuff. Yeah, we know all about you," and I'm like, "That's kind of odd, weird."
They're like, well, I mean, but like, and half the time it's like we'll know that person, but we see them in the costume that they were dressed as, in like the full get-up makeup, and then we see them next year, and they're like, hey, remember me? And they're in a completely different look, they're all chameleons.
Or they're out of it completely.
Or
they're out of it altogether. They go,
just like
hey,
a
we talked
t-shirt.
about, like, you know me. And I'm like,
tell me what we talked about.
Right.
What were you dressed
Yeah.
as? And then I'm like, oh yeah. And then like I try to remember because
Well,
there's
people
so many
also
people.
have to realize you meet like per weekend. You meet like thousands of people.
Yeah.
At one con in general, you meet probably hundreds, if not thousands of
Yeah.
people. It's hard to remember every single face.
It's like you do your
but
best.
I'm really good,
wow.
though, because I'm really good at facial recognition. And I'll go, I know you from somewhere.
Yeah.
But
What
the
show
celebrities
did we
do that.
see?
Celebrities do it, too, because a lot of people will come up to a celebrity and go, remember me? I've seen tons of people. I don't remember you.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that. I mean,
Yeah.
you're seeing tons and tons of people. Even if you do something memorable that would stick in like a celebrity or somebody's mind,
Yeah.
those are the ones I do remember. Like something that's
Oh, yeah.
extraordinarily off the top that happened in the booth, or someone
Oh,
came in with a
man.
specific costume. I'll remember that.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes they'll have to jog my memory.
They gotta ring the bell.
oh my
Yeah,
god,
exactly.
Oh,
Ring the bell.
we had a guy dressed as Dracula. I always tell that joke.
Oh,
Dressed as
I love
Dracula, young kid, sweet guy, walked in and he did Hotel Transylvania. I knew what it was. She didn't.
Okay.
And he goes,
I see it now,
he goes,
but I didn't then.
Beetlejuice, do you do the blah blah blah? And I go, no, I don't blah blah blah. And he goes, I definitely see that you two zing. She goes, what's zing?
What's a zing?
I'm like, what? You've never seen a movie before? I'm like, we zing. We're cool. We're great. We're comrades. And he really appreciated me knowing, and that's what a lot of people come in and they'll riff off the movies, and then you'll and usually I'll know it, or as they're coming in and it's a very obscure costume, I'll know what it is. And I go, hey, it's blah, blah. And they go, oh my God, you knew what I was.
Yeah.
Like, you knowing what they were really makes them feel good.
Especially when it's a really obscure character.
And she'll go, if there are a lot of
You're
80s
like-
characters that come in, she'll go, I don't know.
Oh, really?
Oh, come
really?
on.
I'm not
Give me
saying,
more credit
no,
than
you do. But there have been, and same thing goes for me.
Yeah.
Like there's ones like the certain ones anime.
Yeah.
I like anime. She loves anime.
Okay.
And so
I have no idea about
like
it.
Yeah.
anime characters will come in, she'll
to
know
be fair,
them.
I'm pretty like anime from like maybe 5 years ago. I'm not so like updated
Like you got me
with
Spirited
anime.
Away. You got me involved with
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Like that's beautiful.
Miyazaki.
Beautiful.
Yep.
But then
Miyazaki's
like
amazing.
we clue each other in on like who they're dressed as.
Yes.
If like one of us doesn't know, we're like, oh, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
that.
so coming in, you'll go, who's
or
that?
if it's
Or I'll
like
go, who's that?
like a version of a character that's even more obscure, and you're like, oh, that's how. Like sometimes you really have to look at their costume and like how they pieced it together to like figure out who they are.
Sure.
It's such a game, like it's a side game, like figuring out who people are and how to interact.
But it goes it's both ways. Like a lot of the anime stuff that you tell me about, and a lot of like
Yeah.
retro 80s.
Like I didn't know Buckaroo Banzai. That was one
Oh,
that,
yeah,
that I
okay.
just got to know, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh wow! And now it's like one of my favorite.
Well, because Ready Player One, because we built for him, we built the car that you see in Ready Player One that was digitized. That's one of our cars.
Oh,
No
Yeah.
kidding.
They borrowed
So
it.
we built both for him for
Elliot.
well, not
Uh,
Elliot.
No, not Elliot.
What's his face from Ready Player One? The writer. It's off the top of my head. We built him and his brother's car. We built their car, their DeLoreans.
Yeah.
And then for the debut of Ready Player One with Spielberg and everything, that was one of our cars. Bruce actually built the Cyclops, the specific Cyclops that you see. We built that for his
Okay.
car.
Very
yeah.
cool.
So,
Yeah.
and then so we did those characters in Ready Player One, and we were supposed to go to California to go and debut, but something happened where he was working on the second one. That's
Oh
why.
right, so they were already busy. With
Because
that
we were
shit.
supposed to go tour the very next year with the writer or the writer, and we were supposed to have our car with him, and her and I were both doing Artemis and
Wade.
Parsival.
Parsival.
Yeah.
Parsival.
Yeah.
We were going to be. It was going to be one big Ready Player One booth, and then he started on Ready Player Two, and then he wasn't available,
Yeah.
so we never ended up doing that.
We did do one show as the Ready Player One characters, and we just had like a green screen backdrop kind of thing with our thing. So it was really fun, but
To be able to
definitely
do
obscure.
and she doing the details of the being in that world and the graphics, the pixels. She made all the pixels on our faces and
No kidding.
stencils. Yeah.
Yeah, I had so many airbrush stencils that I had to like brush that blue on top and then
All
like your
airbrushed,
arms.
completely airbrushed.
Yeah, that was a lot of makeup, but not as much as Beetlejuice. Still, I think.
No, I think
Or
Grinch was more. Grinch,
Yeah.
the Grinch took time.
See, the Grinch looks like it would have a lot of elements to be.
Well,
It
it's
does.
one with with ours. It's one prosthetic, and then a lot. Well, she pre-paints all the faces,
Yeah.
and then
Did the
just
cow.
doing, but applying and blending the eyes, blending the mouth. That takes time, but she's got it down to a science, so she gets it done in about an hour.
That's
No
amazing.
kidding.
Yeah.
She gets
with
Grinch
the
finished in an hour.
pre-painted, the painting
I'll
of
show
the
you. You said-
prosthetics itself takes a lot of time because it's a lot of layers. But then just having him like glue it on and then blend the like chin part to the rest of the face and then just paint the eyes, you know, and then he's good. I still think that Beetlejuice is more work because then you have to do the bald cap. So then it's like the bald cap alone takes so much time, and he's got a lot of hair, so it's like I have to slick that thing down to like nothing, put the bald cap on, let it dry, and it's like all
Yeah,
the
this is
layers
one of
of
our
color.
Oh wow!
Holy moly.
Look at that! Look at that detail. Even the eyebrows.
Oh my gosh, the eyebrows, and that's just like cut hair from the same fabric that I used for the rest of the body and like the.
But the eyebrows have to be different every time. All the
That is
facial hair
gorgeous.
has to be applied every single time.
Yeah.
So much detail.
I try to remove it so delicately so that I hopefully can like reuse.
We try. We
pieces.
typically can
Look at that.
do it about
3 times.
3 applications on one face,
Yeah.
It's just
and then when you take it off with Super Solve, it breaks down the foam.
Oh,
So
the latex.
the latex. So after 3 removals, there's some thinning spots that happen. That
Okay.
she's patched and repaired on other ones, but
Yeah. This is definitely one of the better ones I painted. But it was like the first one was like way too dark green. And I was like,
way too dark. Too
with the
green.
flash photography, it was like not the right color. So it was like finding like how to properly tone it so it's not too yellow, not too neon green, and not too dark green. It's like finding the right
it's like the proper dirty line.
olive tone. Like I don't know, like it's so funny. So it was just a lot of like mixing colors until we got it right, and then after I got the fine tuning of it, I could just like apply it in an hour. But Beetlejuice is still the biggest pain in my butt ever, because it's the latex, the one like ghostly white color, fill in the eyes, and then it's like a lot of like flicking the brush, and it's just like kind of just
Well, he
like
has
this
all that,
muddled.
like, green
Yeah.
sludge and
the
stuff.
It almost
mold. I
like-
think it's supposed to be mold. I wanna
It's this
say.
like
Yeah.
moldy, dead corpse hairline.
Yeah.
That's like, you know, his receded line.
This is our King of Clowns.
Oh,
This is
okay.
the-
Oh, this was for Universal.
This is the this
Oh.
was for
Was,
Kentucky.
Oh, that's
my
right. That's
God.
right.
This is a concept that she developed the makeup for
Yeah.
character.
Very, very cool. Look, it's got a big old bust in his head.
Yeah, because he's like just all shattered. And
That
he
is-
had like green tufts of hair on top.
Yeah,
like
it was
a
like on top on the sides.
bozo
Look at
clown
the
kind of thing.
brow. Like that is so incredible. And even like the eyebrows.
Yeah.
It gives
So I
me
shaded that.
gives me very much Terrifier vibes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
with
yeah.
that face
Yeah.
shape and the chin,
That
it totally
is
is.
gorgeous.
But we just always try and experiment, like, you know, and I will plug them because they're amazing. But in Orlando, there's a makeup store called Embellish FX,
Oh, hello.
and they're
Hi, Kat.
hi. Is that your cue?
Nothing like a
this
black
is
cat.
Binks. He's you know, I had to steal him from the Sanderson sisters.
He's like, what you doing?
And that's why we actually, that's the funny thing that he's here. We got him because when I wanted to do the Sanders, I was going to train him, clicker train him
Okay.
to sit on a stool. So we have a real black cat.
Yes.
And I'm still thinking about doing it. We can put him in a cage. But it looks like, but that's the thing is with our characters, I want real. I want
Yeah.
a real black cat there to be part of our Sanderson sisters.
That's awesome.
We had a
Um,
prop black cat, and it just wasn't the same.
I had
Sure.
a puppet. I was holding it, and it was a puppet, and I would move it around because as my character
Billy. Yeah.
he doesn't speak, but
Sure.
the cat's on. So it worked. It worked
Yeah.
great.
The cat was a good icebreaker with the kids that were scared of you, but and then just eventually.
And I didn't
get
speak
him.
the whole time. And I was the one doing photos, and the girls were like, "Go there and take the picture." And I was like,
Oh, that's amazing.
So much fun.
So when it comes to the latex masks,
Yeah.
you make them yourself. How long does it take? Like, say the Grinch, for instance.
Well, these we had made from a friend of ours that has their own makeup shop, and so this was a sculpt that he did.
but it was raw.
But it was a raw, and then so I do the painting. This prosthetic I made though, this one here, I sculpted that one. So this is a separate prosthetic to this, and this,
Do you want to know what
this I got
this
to embellish.
really was before we? This was Captain Hook.
This is a Captain
This
Hook
is a Captain
prosthetic.
Hook. This is what you do to reinvent and re-engineer.
It had the right shape.
So
So-
this face was Captain Hook's face, and
Yeah.
then we turned it into the clown.
That's what it was labeled as, like a Captain Hook prosthetic, and I'm like, oh, it's got the chin, it's got the nose. It's almost like kind of Joker-esque too,
Yeah,
like
sure.
the way it is. So we're like, oh, we might be able to use this for a lot of different characters if I get more of these. But I just loved the way I could like hodgepodge these two prosthetics together. I just like built it on a bald cap, which we do the bald caps ourselves.
Now, yeah, those we do ourselves, our own bald caps.
I had to do a life cast of his head. So now we stipple the latex for a few layers to make our bald caps and pull them, because we used to buy every bald cap from Embellish, and that was just like racking up because we already
Bald caps
buy,
are expensive.
Yeah,
Okay.
we already buy paint from them, so it was like, oh, like let's find a way to make our own bald caps because it's
And bald
doable.
caps don't fit properly.
No,
That's
and
the thing is
you
if
have
you
a
buy a
different shaped
generic
head.
bald cap,
Mhm.
it is either too short and
Too big.
And it doesn't lay natural. Like when I did Fester, the first one we did, we got a bald cap and it just
Yeah.
wasn't natural looking.
Yeah.
So I said, and again, here's me going, I can do it myself.
Right.
YouTube, start learning.
Yeah.
And then I did different products. And there's another a shop in Orlando that we get all of our supplies from, like the
Yeah.
prosthetic supplies. Liquid form
Yeah.
is Reynolds.
Reynolds.
It's called
supply.
Reynolds Supply. And they supply for Universal, Disney, all the special,
Yeah.
like all of the gallons of latex and they're
Mold
high
making,
end. So
casting. It's
I
everything.
had different versions, like she does. You have version A, version B, version C. It took me to version C after research and development. Okay, this is the best product for the best application. So it usually took me 10 layers to build up for a bald cap. Now with the new stuff, it only is 5.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's basically you take my life cast and you smother it with Vaseline, and then you take a latex and you pat it on. You draw out your line depending on your character.
Yeah.
You draw out your lines where the prosthetic's going to go, and then you just start using a sponge and you start applying it. Then a thin layer, let it dry. Then you do another layer and you build it up, build it up,
Yeah.
build it up. And then you slowly go underneath and you start pulling and powdering and pulling and powdering. And you finally can take it all off and then you reverse it inside
Yeah.
out because
The
it's the smooth side.
Yeah.
And you have a bald cap
Yeah.
where they charge what, $20, $25 for one cap?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah,
And now at least like we have one like made to your face head.
yeah.
So
Oh my
like,
God, making the live cast for me was fun.
It's like a torture almost.
She
like you're locked.
she originally we used alginate. Alginate is like the quickest way to make a live cast.
Okay.
But we didn't research enough, and the alginate we used too warm water, and it instantly gelled.
It cured
So
too
she goes,
fast.
"I got some bandages. We can do it old school." So
Yeah.
we did old school live cast,
Plaster
plaster
bandages.
cast, and everything.
Gauze and all
And
that.
so
Oh.
when it came to take it
Yeah.
off, when
I had to cut you out.
originally normally you put straws.
Straws
in
up
your
nose,
right?
yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
I did, but I went to go do something. I bumped the straws. And the straws that went into my cavity bled.
You had
I
a
mean-
nosebleed.
Nose gushing out. So I'm going, oh my God. So we have somebody assisting, and we're filming this. And so I need more. So all this is on. I still have this on film. So I finally got it stopped. They applied the
Yeah.
wraps,
You
and then
were-
with
yeah.
wraps, and with gauze, it does shrink.
Yeah.
So
It felt really like.
so she's like, okay, let's get into it now. Oh, how do we get into it? So Robert goes, well, let's just cut it open. Well, they used a saw on the back, and they're sawing, and it amplifies the sound.
No,
So-
they tried to use regular scissors, and I said,
Oh, regular
no.
scissors wouldn't cut.
I had medical scissors, like for a
Okay.
cast. So I was like, no, I need my medical scissors, and I had to find them. And then meanwhile, you were trapped.
And I'm going, and so Robert goes, we're just gonna have to use a hammer, and I'm like, and
No.
but they take a hacksaw, and start sawing into the back of my head.
No.
And, yes, they did.
No, that's what it sounded like, though.
And no, he started making a line. Don't tell me what I'm
I must have been downstairs.
He's like, I am the one who went
I'm
through
the
this
one that was
trauma.
here, and so I'm
I
hearing,
remember.
I
and
must
it's
have been
really, really
downstairs.
loud. And then you came up and went, oh, we'll just slowly cut it. I got the
Okay.
bigger ones. Robert's trying to saw my head
Oh
off.
my God.
No.
So they get it to right about here. So I was at the point I was done. So I grabbed and I started pulling, and I'm going, and on the film, trying to loosen my face, and I finally got it out. Oh my God, it was
Oh,
so
God.
funny.
It was so worth it, though.
But it was
It
great.
was so worth it, though.
So worth it.
It was great.
But now you save that $25 every
I
time you
know.
want to make.
I know, she's like, was it worth it?
It's totally worth it.
But it is totally worth it.
15 skull caps.
How long-
You're like, yes.
Oh, yeah.
How long was the whole process?
To do the live cast, it took a couple of hours.
It's-
Oh my
hours.
gosh, I can't
Um,
even.
I had to
You-
sit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to be in it
You had to be in that for about an hour and a half.
hour and a half, almost 2 hours, as it's drying.
And,
Oh.
And
it shrinks
her
them a
making
little
sure
bit.
that my nose is open so I can breathe.
Yeah.
But as it's drying, it's starting to crush. It's actually starting to crush.
Yeah.
And I've had live cast done before, and I've had plaster cast done before, but there is that little bit of panic, that
Yeah.
little bit of what if
Yeah.
you can't get it off right away, and that's when they go, oh, we can't get it off right away. And I'm going, oh God, okay, just get in the
Breathe.
zone.
Just breathe.
I have mentally prepared for this.
Get in the zone.
Yeah.
But thank goodness that once we have it, because we've needed that live cast so much for prosthetics, making bald caps, and
Yeah.
just different characters, which works out. And then
Oh.
then everything fits like a glove, like when we've done other characters. Thank you for being our cat whisperer.
Cat
and letting out-
wrangler.
Well, he was speaking to me, so.
He's
but
saying, hey,
we've-
what's up?
it's such a savior when it comes to prosthetics and makeup, and because
Yeah.
it fits me like a glove every time. So on film, it looks seamless.
Well, you
and-
gotta wear these for 10 to 12 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's gotta fit well.
It's worth it.
and it's got to be comfortable.
Yeah.
So you struggle
Yeah.
for your art, but that's what we do as artists,
That's
right?
Exactly.
We suffer for our art.
and she
Exactly.
tells me, she goes, "Are you sure you want to?" But I've slept in them. When we do cons, we do Beetlejuice, and it's back to back to back. I'll sleep
Oh,
in the
yeah.
makeup.
Sure.
I'll sleep in the prosthetic.
Yeah.
Over the weekend. And except for one time, and I know where I'm going with that. So at the end of the con, I have to get out of the makeup. But I've been in this full bald cap, everything for a weekend. It only took one time, and she started taking it off. She's like, oh my God.
All that sweat.
All that sweat.
It just trapped underneath.
Yes.
Yeah.
She goes, oh my God. It was at
I was
St.
like, here's
Augustine.
some makeup
It was at
remover,
St. Augustine.
And bye.
And
I
she starts
love
to
you.
move in the back. She's like, oh God, go in the bathroom, do it yourself. So, from
One day at a con, you're pretty funky. I can imagine.
Oh,
well, which is
God.
perfect for Beetlejuice because he is funky.
performance, yes.
But you know what? It's sealed in the prosthetic. There's no smell at all until I start taking it off.
Oh,
But
my God.
now on, she's like, here's the stuff. Go in the
Bye.
bathroom.
Bye. See you later.
So from now on, if we do long days, she makes me do that.
Yeah.
But getting out like one application, even 10 hours, you're fine.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's when it's sitting up
But
and
we
sleeping
had
on your
to
back
do-
all weekend.
Yeah, we have to do those cons sometimes where we have to be at the show at 5 a.m. to meet like the news to talk about, so then they go, oh great, just meet us there at 5 a.m. I'm like, okay, so we're gonna have like 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
'Cause
I
makeup
don't have
takes
time to
forever.
do your makeup, so you're just gonna have to sleep in it, and we just have to roll into the next day. And it's just like, it's those like, do we have sleep or do I do another application to just like have you like sleep with just your normal hair? Just that like at the end of the con, just like taking
And
the
I
makeup
always
off.
tough it out. I end up
yeah.
wearing
You're
it
a
for the
trooper.
weekend. The good thing is with when we do Ghostbusters, I'm only in
Oh, yeah.
a little makeup,
Yeah.
but you're not in makeup. You have the cap.
I got a wig. It's not going to be too bad. It's the
No.
eye contacts. The red
Oh, the
scleras.
scleras.
I'm not going to be able to see anybody.
I would imagine with
you know.
Gozer, that's probably the most
Yeah.
uncomfortable piece.
Yeah.
These both
Yeah.
characters
It's
have
very
scleras. He had red and orange,
Yeah.
and this one was yellow.
Okay.
So it wasn't really that bad. And the thing is you can't get prescription in color contact.
It's hard.
So I have to layer because I wear contacts, and so I have to wear 2 sets of contacts. I wear my
Yeah.
prescription, and then I wear the scleras on top of it.
And then wearing that like all day, and then like the first thing
So
you want to do is
yeah.
take your eye contacts out because you're like, I just need these out. But it is like you do suffer for your art because it's just
Because I can't
What
can't
can
put
you do?
just color contacts in. I can't see. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't be. I'm fuzzy here.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm like, huh? And
Yeah.
so I'm like, oh well, I have this technique now where I can wear double contacts and it doesn't bother me.
it works.
That probably
part
was
of it.
something that was like out of necessity,
Yes.
and then like you just kind of got used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one year we were doing some cosplays for a little while, and it was about 4 or 5 years ago. I had made this before it was even popular. I had made this Mandalorian, but he was a dapper Lorian. He had a top hat and a suit and everything like that.
He had a mustache.
And yeah, he has a mustache on the helmet, you know. And,
Oh, that's so cool.
and walking into the con, I didn't have my helmet on, but I had my sunglasses, the prescription sunglasses on, not realizing I forgot my regular glasses. So I had my sunglasses on, and then I had a helmet that has a tinted visor. And it's like, I'm not going to trek half an hour back to my car to go get my glasses. So I spent the whole day with sunglasses and a tinted visor on my head, just walking around like this, like just guide me along, you know?
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
You suffer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot, but it's like, it's so worth
August
it.
in Florida. We're not walking back to the car.
Oh my gosh.
No.
In
Not
a cosplay, oh my gosh,
No.
in the certain
Especially
costumes.
with that, that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's
that
it.
was at the mega. It
It
was
was
at
at
MegaCon,
MegaCon, yeah.
and so you know how big that parking lot is.
Yeah.
They have the guys with the bikes that'll take you wherever.
Yeah,
And
the
I'm
gently
like,
drivers.
That's a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Nope.
That's
You're
a
just
lot of
gonna have to
work.
deal with that.
Oh god.
Well, and the good thing is they keep the convention center ice cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is with
yeah.
loading in, they don't have the air on.
No.
When we load in, they open because the bay doors are open. They typically
It's so hot.
don't turn on the air conditioners to save them money.
Sure.
So we're cooking when we're building.
But that's fine. 'cause
And then
we don't need to
sometimes,
be
though,
in makeup, so we're just,
Sometimes though, before the con opens that day,
Yeah.
they don't turn on the air conditioning until like 2 or 3 hours before.
Mm,
And so when we're coming in makeup, it's still hot.
yeah.
So like, please
Yeah.
don't sweat, because you start sweating, it starts separating the prosthetic.
In a place that big,
Exactly.
2 to 3 hours before, it's just getting
Oh.
cool by the time people start coming in.
it takes forever for that to get
So your balance.
Acro cat.
Circus Cat. He's showing off his
He's so
stunts.
pretty.
Oh my
You
gosh.
So
cannot.
pretty.
He
Yeah.
knows it. He's stealing the show.
Stop it. You turd.
Our littlest turd.
Attention.
We love animals, so we don't mind.
So
They're
what
shop cats.
what is it that got you into even like wanting to do this in
Where did-
general? Like,
where did
let's-
this begin?
Not even just
Yeah.
this. You explained where
Yeah.
this came about, but like beforehand, when you wanted to work at Universal Studios or work in building automobiles and stuff like that, where did that interest come from?
Well, back in 1988, I started working. Oh, when I graduated in 19. God, that really shows my age. Back in 1988.
Be proud of it, dear.
We, the year I graduated is the year of time when you time travel speed.
Yeah,
I
there
didn't
you
realize
go.
that till just now. So I started for the Disney company back in the 80s, and I became a nerd with Disney. I love it. I love that type of aspect, being on this side and working instead of just going to the attractions. But I always had a thing for entertainment. I did commercials. I did back when I was a wee lad. I did the Trix commercials. I was in some of the Trix commercials back in the day.
Okay.
And so entertainment's been always in my family blood. My mom was a model on TV. My dad was on television. And so,
used to model Sears catalog suits
yeah,
as a
the
little
Sears
kid.
were like, I was a model for Sears and all that. And so I've always been in entertainment, and then working for Disney, I thought that was awesome. I brought Peter Pan to Disney. I was the first Peter Pan.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fun.
And so I did that for many years. And I did the same thing that I did for Marty. I presented it to them, showed them what we could do, showed that it would work, and they gave it a try, and they liked it, and then Peter Pan was in the park.
I know. He's still there.
Same thing with
Yes.
Marty.
Still there,
I
still
presented the idea to the management, and I said, this is what we could do. Trust me, give me a
Yeah.
chance. And then they submitted photos and video to Michael J. And Michael J. said, you're allowed to do it. You're the
Yeah.
only one allowed to do it. Signed off on it. And so I worked for Disney for many years, and then I got the taste of Universal. I'm like, this is a
Yeah.
grown-up part. Because there's so much time growing up in your 20s, and when you hit around 25, Disney's not such a magical cutesy land anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted more the adult, and then so my first job at Universal was Halloween, which most people is Halloween Horror Nights.
Mhm.
So I was in the Psycho House, Psychopath Maze, way back, and in '94. So I loved it, enjoyed it, and I'm like, I want to work here all the time. So I did Mardi Gras, and finally got my niche, and then worked at the stunt show because I became a stuntman. And so I did the Wild Wild West stunt show, and then I liked it, went to Taiwan as a stunt actor, came back, and then I did Terminator, Sinbad, all the stunt shows, the Lagoon Show. I did all the stunt stuff until I got to the point my body didn't want to do stunts anymore, and then I got more into the street characters, and I realized how good I was at doing voice impersonations, and then I started branching off and doing other characters, and then I've been doing it ever since. I've been doing voiceover work as different characters for ever, still to
And
now.
you went and studied computers, and that was like originally what like you
Computer
went to school.
engineering, yeah, I went to.
Yeah.
I didn't, I didn't want to go to the typical college. My father gave me a choice of go to college and do this, or go to local college, and take a trade. So I still didn't know what I wanted to do, but I liked computers when they came out, and I had a fascination for arcade games. So I worked at an arcade called Barrel of Fun in Winter Haven. So I did a lot of repairs. I learned how to repair like arcade games, and I really liked doing that. So I went to trade school. I went to my Polk Community College in Winter Haven in theater. So I continued to get my degree in theater, and then I went to a Votech school and took computers.
Yeah.
So I had both of those niches, and that's why I still to this day do the electronics and acting. It's embedded in me.
And the cars and stuff.
And the cars, and I did a gig, a Back to the Future gig at the Hard Rock is how I met my business partner that does all the cars, Bruce. He's a former NASA engineer,
Okay.
and so that's what he got into. He was laid off when the shuttle program ended. They laid off a lot of guys from Kennedy Space Center, and so he was building the B-9 robot from Lost in Space. That's the one that's in Kennedy Space Center is his. He built that one.
Yeah.
So that was his big thing. And then he liked Back to the Future, and he said, I could do that. So he started building the time machines. Well, I was doing a gig, and I got hired to do Marty and my partner as Doc for that. And then he brought his car. But he liked what we did with the interacting with Doc and Marty in the car and how we played off each other. He loved that. And he's like you, he stood back and went, this could be a financial thing for me.
Yeah.
So he talked to me and said, would you be interested in being Marty and when I hire you for events and stuff? I said, that's great. And then I showed him how fascinated I am with the car, and I know all the technical parts. I know DeLorean car itself, and I know the in and out. He goes, So he had me come to his shop and let me try out, see how good I was. Because I claimed, and he liked what I did. And ever since then, 9 years later, I'm still there, and we're still doing the same cars. We're still building time machines. We build flux capacitor, tabletop flux capacitors that you have, and so we've been doing it ever since. So
It's been crazy. I started working at Universal in 2009. Also Halloween Horror Nights. My first year was Chucky. I was a Chucky. That was my very first job, going out and with the knife, stabby, 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 and it was so much fun. And I was fresh out of high school, so I was just like, oh, this whole entertainment. But I was like one of the very, very few kids that grew up at Universal in the capacity, because my mom and dad both worked at Universal in entertainment, because both my mom and dad are actors. And so I was always kind of like, I grew up in the theater world. I was, raised by drag queens, and that was just like the theater life in Orlando. And so I never thought I would work at Universal, but then I started maybe I can be a scare actor. And then I went and learned how to walk stilts, and then I started stilt walking for Mardi Gras. And then it was just like, then I started doing, the Who's and stuff, and it was just like doing the more Atmo kind of thing. I did the, fursuits as like the various like short girl characters, and then eventually I started to do like more characters. But the one thing I always wanted to do was to be Betty Boop, and then so I did get to do that, and I still do, and hopefully I'll get to play with her again someday. But it's so much fun. But that was one of my things that I wanted to do, so I felt so good that I could do that. And then I got to also do costume design assistant for Halloween Horror Nights, and that was like my favorite thing, because it was just seeing the back of house, like how they design their houses, how they build, and like all the levels of approval with the IP. It's just like, it's so many steps, and it's like you go through that house with the lights dark and the set, like the way the guests see the house, it's like they don't see everything that goes into these places, and it's like so much fun. And then the year before that, I got to distress the costumes, getting like the blood and the dirt kind of put on, and so I got to like build my way through the costume department. So it was really fun, just like assisting them and trying to get things approved just on that team, and it was just so much fun. And so like now it's like we're just doing like what we love, and making our way, because we're furloughed, and what do? We gotta like put our art out,
to adapt.
Yeah, and just make shows.
Well, I love that you guys kind of just like created the niche for yourself. Like, growing up in the Midwest, we didn't have, like, I actually was raised around drag queens. My mom was a cosmetology teacher in the 80s.
Awesome.
So, like, a man named
That's
Mr.
how she
Lamar,
learned how to put on makeup herself.
He sat down, he goes,
That's
come here,
what-
baby girl, let me teach you how to put on some makeup. And that's how I learned how to put on makeup.
Fabulous.
So it's like, I was part of that realm, and my parents were both in theater. But it was like
Love that.
community theater, like, because in the middle of
same with
Missouri,
my
you don't
folks,
have any of
too.
that stuff. But
Yeah.
we put on like the Prisoner of Second Avenue and things like
Yeah.
that, and we would do that. And then like hearing what it's like to be a kid in Orlando, I'm like, damn,
I know.
I missed out on so much.
There was a time like when like my dad, he worked at the Barney show for 25 plus years and did Mr. Peekaboo, and that was his. He's the face character of the show, and if things would go wrong, he would stall, and there was just so many things, like so many stories. But I remember going into the green room, like that would be when you could like take your daughter to work and take them through the employee gate. No one would care. They're like, oh, I'm just taking my daughter to work. Okay.
Your dad was Jack the Clown too.
He did Jack the Clown. He was one of the main dudes, like when they first did Jack and stuff. So he got to put that clown prosthetic on so many times.
I ran into him. I was doing Bill and Ted's that year,
Okay.
and he came.
Yeah.
That's where he was breaking in our spot.
The good old days, good old Bill and Ted
Oh
show.
my gosh.
Yeah.
But it was just like going into the Barney green room as a 5-year-old kid and just seeing all these like, Barneys like
Hanging from the hook.
on the hooks, and they're just like, oh. But I learned from a very young age, like, oh, those are actors playing pretend, and like, how cool is that? But I feel like knowing that side of it, I was more fascinated
Sure.
in,
I
in
agree.
how it works, like what it goes. I get the facade, it's like that play pretend, but like just like what goes into it is just so fascinating. So
How the magic happens is really fascinating.
I just love doing that. My mom did Murder, She Wrote, the Hercules and Xena show, Terminator. She
So
did
Mom
all
and I
those.
worked together in Terminator.
And just how funny is that? And then just like to turn around and go, all right, now I'm working there. And then now both my parents do not work at the park, and then I do. So it's like we swapped. And now my dad left Barney because he could see, you know, things were closing. He's like, I'm going to leave on my own terms. So about 4 years ago, he went to school to become a funeral director, and that is now what he does.
What a change.
Such
what
a
change.
twist.
Yeah.
Totally left.
Like working for kids, entertaining kids, and wrangling dinosaurs, and then like, you know, tending to the dead. It's like, all right, but he loves it, and it's just like it works for him, and you know, he's still working now, and it's like, good for you, Dad. Like, now he has to, you know, because like growing up in theater, like your parents didn't really make much money.
Sure.
So we were like
Yeah.
pretty poor growing up, and just was that, you know, we would go thrift store shopping. I didn't own anything retail. Like we would just go to the thrift store, and so I think that's where like the creativity of like build something out of nothing came from, because it's just like
Repurpose.
we didn't know how to do it, but around Halloween time, you bet your butt I would be making my own costumes. And like the first year I was like, I don't know, 6 years old, I wanted to be the Bride of Frankenstein. I always wanted to be scary or, you know, like spooky. And then like, you know, when everyone would go dressed as like a sexy vampire or something from you know, Spirit Halloween, I showed up as Reagan from The Exorcist with like the pee puke showing up in this full covered like nightgown, and I'm just like, hi, I'm ready for the party. And I was like in 6th grade, so it's just like I was just out of the gate, like just absolutely crazy. But so just building from that and just finding all these costumes to make, and now I'm like, I got my partner to dress up
She's got her,
and
yeah.
make spooky. So.
But like you said, the special effects and the behind the scenes, Terminator was really, that was one of my favorite shows to do as far as technical wise, and all the problems that we used to have in the show. It was a very intricate show. Timing was everything. To make
Because you're interacting with the screen.
the screen to make all of our movements had to be right on spot.
Did you guys lip sync, or were you actually
lip
saying
sync?
the line?
Lip sync.
Okay.
The Arnold, when the show first started, the Arnold's had prosthetics. They had facial prosthetics on, from the note from here down,
Okay.
because they wanted them to look like
Yeah.
because
The
they
jaw.
wanted them to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then they didn't realize that it was just too much work for them to put on and breathe. And then when they spoke, it was very mumbled like this. So they finally they lowered the lights a little bit, and it was all about lighting. You know, where you see our shadows, you see us a little bit, but you know it worked. And then the motorcycle timing, that thing was so temperamental when it came out. It was really sophisticated. When it first started, it was on a battery system. It wasn't on a bus bar, where it would go around and it would redo and self-charge. But the batteries weren't holding a charge, so it would go halfway out on the overload and shut down. So that's when they implemented the bus bar, where it was on constant power. But you know, and the guys would have to use the brake, where the brake is. That's their enable button. So they had to keep their hand, this hand on when they won't take a gunshot. It was this hand. They had to come out, go around and fire, but keep their hand on that brake, because that would tell the computer, okay, they're still on. And when you jump on it, you can look, and there's a control panel that I can see where it shows station and where you're located, because there's a mini track on the control thing, and it shows the computer where it's going. And it would pop a wheelie. I had to hang on, and it would go and actually pop a wheelie as it went up the ramp, and then it would come down as it came through. And then we had a giant Austrian curtain. That's where the giant screen was made in Austria. That's why it's called the Austrian curtain. And so as you would go through, the Austrian curtain would rise up, and then there's another trapdoor. There's a screen within a screen.
Okay.
So the Austrian curtain would rise up, and then there'd be the trapdoor, and it would rise up, and we would go through. The LM2 would go through, and it would hide that door.
So it looks like you're going through the
And
screen.
it's seamless, but as you go through the trap door, as soon as it passed, it would go quickly in the Austrian curtain. That way it was seamless by the time the smoke cleared.
Oh wow.
That's how it worked. But a lot of times, you would go through and the trap door wouldn't open. But there was, our black clips.
Yeah.
The actual trap door was just clipped on. So if the bike wanted to go through, we'd go through that door. All the clips would go ping, 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 ping.
Oh, nuts.
And you would bust through that door. The Austrian curtain wouldn't come down on top of us.
Wow.
But a lot of times when you go through the trap door, the clips would go ping, 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 and I got hit in the head by a clip.
Oh my gosh.
Or what was really scary was the motorcycle stopped right
Where the
on
curtain
top
comes
of the
down?
Austrian curtain. But I'm thinking, I'm going my head, and I'm like, oh my god, it's going to come down.
I'm gonna die.
Because
I
I
was
was
forward as he
where
can.
it stopped, he was fine, but the Austrian curtain was right above me.
Oh
I looked
my
up
gosh.
and I'm like, shit. But thank goodness that the sensors knew that we were there and it was a bike stop. It knew not to drop.
Oh.
But it's embarrassing because they have to
that's
do a
scary.
dump, bring the lights up, and we're going, hey. And
We're stuck.
because we can't because
Don't mind.
because right there's no catwalk. Like usually it's if we had just started to go up and it stopped, we could get off and get out. And then if it went a little bit further, there's a catwalk. There's an actual catwalk as you go through where the curtains passes. There's a walkway that goes around. We were at the spot where you couldn't get off. There's nowhere to get off.
Oh, heavens.
And so we're just do until the techs come and they manually bring us around.
Yeah.
Where you and I were just standing there.
Nothing to see here, folks.
Nothing to
Nope.
see there. We had a
Oh,
time in the third act. We came out on stage and Arnold. If the bike doesn't go, we have to walk out on stage, run out on stage, get to our positions.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not the bike. If the lift, because there's a lift that brings us up. If that doesn't go up, we'll get in it. The door will open. And we're like, okay, we're not moving. Open the door. We got to get around and get to our spot before, because the lights go out and then they come on. And I go, where are we? Home. We have to get into our spots before that light comes on. Well, Arnold's got his glasses on. He can't see. So what's funny is you see me holding his hand and guiding him. Because Les goes, all of them I love all of them to death. But Les goes, I can't see, bro. And I said, let me have your hand. So thank God no one saw me. So he's basically, you can't see that. He's basically, I'm holding his hand. He's got a shotgun, a plasma rifle, like this, going.
Walk me to where we go.
I'm babying him into his position. He goes, let go of my hand, man.
Be cool.
Be cool. So those are the fun times that we have.
The show must go on. It
Oh
just
yeah.
has to
I
happen.
mean, we've had always technical problems. The Lagoon show, when I did a Lagoon show, we had a lot of pyrotechnics that didn't go off. I was the slide for life. I was the bad guy that took the briefcase, and I slide down a slide for life, and I have to get in a bunker before the stunt boat goes through, because I'm right
this
there.
was that Lagoon show they used to do.
So there's the
yeah.
jump, and then there's pyro. And I have to get in a bunker. I actually have to close myself in a bunker before the explosion, because it could kill me. So you have to get in, close it, hit the enable button, and hold it. So the computer knows that you're safe before they blow. And there's a light on the door, on the jump area, to let the boat driver know, okay, he's clear. So the timing of that, and the slide for life is my own speed. So I have to match that speed perfectly to get in there for the timing, for the driver to know, and match and make sure that he's coming around the corner the time I get in there. There's been many a times where I just couldn't make it fast enough, and he wouldn't jump. He would just kind of go off.
Oh.
And then you get yelled at.
Sure.
But we did all sorts of crazy stuff. We used to have the Water World. You guys seen the
Yeah.
Water World. We used to have the Water World boat there. And the crazy stuff that we would do, like I always was dared to always do things. And, and back in the day, it was a very small group of talent. Entertainment was very small, very, very small at Universal when it first developed. And we were all family. I mean, everybody did crazy stuff. And the managers were like, oh, there they are again.
The Marx Brothers used to
The Marx
hijack
Brothers.
the boat.
Yeah, they used to take a tugboat. There was a little boat that was like a little bitty tugboat, a little paddle boat. And it was on the side of the lagoon, but it was for aesthetics. You weren't really supposed to use it. But the Marx Brothers we would get a call on the radio and go, the Marx Brothers are in the middle of the lagoon. And they would paddle out and be going, hey, everybody, how you doing? How you doing? And so that. And then I didn't get in trouble, but I went to the top of the crow's nest of the, because they dared me. The West group goes, hey, Rob, go up there. I go, okay. And so I went to the top of the crow's nest of the Waterworld one. I got on a radio. Can you tell Rob to get down off the Waterworld boat?
Yeah, get off the crow's nest.
Get off the crow's nest. But, I mean, those are the things we did back then. But it was fun. It was, you know, we weren't breaking really rules. And,
No.
and
We
the
didn't have
managers knew
rules.
it. And they sometimes I got a little annoyed, but most of the times it's family.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Oh,
But-
they used to chip golf balls off the top of
Oh.
Hollywood buildings, just for fun.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, the Marx, and see the Marx,
they got away with everything.
They, oh my gosh, the Marx Brothers would hitting golf balls in the lagoon. When Mardi Gras time is, they would be on top of the Hollywood, or on Hollywood Boulevard, throwing beads. I mean, not tossing beads,
Just chucking them.
chucking beads at people.
Oh my gosh.
And
Oh yeah.
So I have feared for my safety many times
Yeah.
during
Oh,
Mardi
yeah.
Gras.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I might die.
that makes me even
I do
now.
too.
And when her and I go to Mardi Gras, I'm like, okay, because
You can't look
you
in every
can't
direction.
see where,
Yeah.
especially the gator float when it's
Yes.
or larger floats and there's multiple people throwing.
Yeah, you're looking
And then you have
this
people
way,
like,
and
and you
then
see
it
it
gets
coming out,
hit
goes,
this
I
way.
got it, and someone goes, "Kuh,"
Yeah,
and like takes
yeah.
it overhead.
Oh.
But I've been beamed in the head a
Oh,
couple of
yeah.
times.
Oh, right in my eyes. Like, even with my
Yeah.
glasses on, the way they just come at certain
Just
angles.
the right
you know?
angle.
Yeah.
I mean, there are times I just go like this.
You just kind of hold your hands up and
Yeah.
go, if it falls in my hand,
If it like
cool."
falls on my fingers,
Right.
I caught it. Like.
But I think Mardi Gras and HHN like are the best.
They're the tops.
Oh,
They
yeah.
really are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Halloween.
Yeah,
Halloween.
Halloween Horror Nights was like something we had never even seen
Yeah.
before. Like, we were like, what? There's no safe place to go except for a
No.
store because they won't bother you when you're buying stuff. So
Right.
we would
Yeah,
go, like,
exactly.
hide
Safe
in the store
zone.
for a little
There was
while.
one year they
yeah.
had an Alien versus Predator house there, and Gretchen had never really seen those movies before. Like, she just watched Alien for the first time back this past Halloween.
I wasn't allowed
Alien?
to watch a lot of
Alien.
movies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
so,
Predator, actually.
Or yeah, so
Yeah.
she'd seen xenomorphs before, but never really knew quite what they looked like. So
Cool.
the whole situation was like super freaky for her. But they had a guy in a Predator costume with these claws coming off his arm, and he swung that, and it was like she could
I
feel
felt
the
the
wind
wind.
from it, right?
Wow.
And so that freaked her out. And now she's like, she doesn't know where to go to begin with, but then she's getting like knives in her face. She's like, I'm done.
Nope.
So the
Yep.
tunnel to get out was like this tall, and you had to like crouch
Oh,
in
Uh-huh.
that tunnel. I'd never seen her, let alone
No.
run fully up. I'd never seen her run that fast, let alone
Yeah.
crouch
Oh, yeah. This
through
was
the.
350-pound Gretchen. I was through that door. So.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Just.
Well,
I couldn't keep up with her. I'm
Oh
like,
wow.
well, they had
So
back in the
cool.
day. They used to have. They didn't have scare zones back in the early days. I keep going back to the early days. That they would have wandering,
Yeah. it
just
was
wandering throughout the
pretty,
entire park. There was no safe zone.
Yeah.
But we had the Munsters. We had a lot of lookalikes walking around too. We had the Munsters walk around, just wandering around. We had the Lost Boys wandering
How
around.
fun.
that's so
What a
awesome.
Yeah,
time.
and it was such a different beast again because it was smaller. But I remember we went, and everyone recognizes us when we go. Like all of our friends are working it,
Yeah.
recognize us. So I had a clown. We went into the Simpsons area.
It
We
was,
wanted-
when they had the chainsaw clowns.
Chainsaw
in The
clowns
Simpsons.
and
Yeah.
our friend Monkey, he was the coordinator for that. So he's out there standing, monkeys standing like this, making sure.
Watching.
I go, hey, monkey, okay.
Okay.
And so he's watching his guys, and I understand that, and I didn't bother him at all. And so one of the clowns recognized me as what I do, Marty, and he comes up to me. I'm like, he goes, hey, Marty, and I'm like, oh, great, hey, and so my buddy and I, we had to go to the bathroom because he was with us. We went to the restroom right by Animal Actors.
Okay.
So my buddy comes out first, and so
I'm sitting on the curb waiting for them to come out. The clown guy with the chainsaw. He goes by the exit to the bathroom and he's back up
he's waiting for me.
waiting with the chainsaw ready. Rob comes out and he goes, Marty!
and puts it between my legs.
Right up
But he knows I'm not a regular guest, so he actually puts it up, the vibrations, the
Oh,
chainsaw, and touches
yeah.
between
And
me.
I never
I
seen him jump so
could
high.
walk on water. I could walk on water. But the funny thing is there was a crowd because they were watching what he was up to.
Yeah.
And he knew he was gonna scare somebody coming out.
Yeah.
But oh my god, that's the
Oh.
most scared I've ever been at HHN.
He's the perfect
I
candidate. to
I
be
get scared. I love horror and I love portraying horror characters, but being scared, they put me in the front of the houses all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always, and they're not
I'm
watching
holding
what's
his
good. They're
shoulders.
watching me because
Yeah.
the scares always get me. Like every single time, like in the Yeti
Yeah,
house.
you're perfect.
That's
target.
because you react.
Yeah.
I get the
Right.
same thing because my ass is
Yeah.
always the first one in the house.
Well,
they
I
feel-
can't see that
yeah.
well, so I always
This
have my
is what
hand.
he says.
And-
I can't see.
And don't say her name. Don't say her name because as soon as you say Gretchen, everyone in the house is like
Everybody knows
Gretchen,
her name.
and they start like
Oh,
tracking her,
yeah.
you know. and-
Exactly.
Please don't say my name.
Now, do you guys try to
yeah.
go every year to HHN?
We do try to. Yeah, we didn't get to this year. I just couldn't get off work.
Well,
but,
this past year
yeah.
didn't happen, but last year
that's what I meant,
she had to
yeah.
work the
Yeah.
whole time.
So you you
Exactly.
didn't get to go see Ghostbusters house.
No,
We did not get to go to
That was a
Ghostbusters,
really
and
good
I
one.
was
That's what I
very
heard.
upset
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
They
like,
did
can
such
we
a
go
good
like
job.
on a Tuesday?
We saw the
Yeah.
the press people get to go through the
Uh-huh.
you know before
Yeah.
it really opened up and
So
everything. It was
fun.
really cool.
It was
Yeah.
well done. It was well done. The Stranger Thing. Now, the first year they had Stranger Things, we went through that. That was really
Yeah.
well
Yeah,
done.
yeah. I remember
That was
one.
my year. I got to work as a assistant costume, like costume design assistant, and it was just fun
That's
because
cool.
I got to help pattern like Dana's dress for like when she did Zool. And like I had to do the research on like
yeah.
what fabrics to buy
Oh,
so that I could
see,
like
that's
help.
so cool because
So, like, it was
you
so
totally
much
get to use that
fun.
now. And
So
that
Yeah,
was now.
R&D.
she knows. Yeah, she
yeah.
knew the secrets, and now she
Yeah.
knows like.
Yeah, I
And
had
but
to
you
do
guys
a
found
lot.
out because a lot of those materials they don't make anymore.
Right.
Sure.
It's
But
hard
she
to
was able to
find.
find those materials that
Yeah.
they used.
They've got such a great resource for materials and stuff, so it was just a matter of finding out, like, from like the Ghostbusters cosplay forums, like some of the really good Dana.
And I was going to
cosplays.
build the proton packs for that house.
Yeah.
Like they needed somebody. They finally ended up getting Skeet to build them.
Yeah.
But she
They turned out
recommended me
so
because
good,
I
though.
built proton packs for the park before.
Back
Like
in
for the
day.
Ghostbusters, I
Yeah.
built those packs
Oh,
for them.
Yeah, when they did the show.
Yeah.
But those were like, you know, they wanted to have them like made so fast because there were so many that they had to get made. So they had some third party guy, and then we like jazzed them up. And I love the house. It
Like
just
I had
turned
to
out
tell them
so
what,
well.
like there was a lot of questions about the Ghostbuster suits, and I know all
There's a
what
lot of
those
detail.
what those were,
Mm-hmm.
and so they would always ask her to ask me the reference of
Yeah,
the key fobs.
you were my
knowing
like
the key fobs and-
encyclopedia for
yeah,
that, and
for
I was like,
Ghostbusters.
I'll have to ask Rob. I don't know, but it was so much fun, and like just working on like all those costumes and just like creating patterns and stuff, just doing the R&D. Like my favorite is just the research behind it.
Killer
and
Clowns,
then
the
the execution.
Killer Clowns you did.
Yeah, we did some of that, but a lot of that was already done because of the prior year. So we just got to kind of like jazz up the street. It was the puppet, that giant clown puppet.
The boss puppet.
Yeah, they did such a good job.
Did you get to
building
meet the
that.
creators? Because I knew that they had showed up.
I
to
did
the-
not. I had to be like in the back of the crowd a lot of
Ah.
times.
You
for
did
those,
go
like,
when what's his name's
yeah.
Warner Brothers came. You walked through
yeah.
with them because he had to
Yeah.
sign off on the Ghostbusters.
I
It
had to
wasn't
be-
Ivan Reitman. It was the Columbia
Yeah.
or Warner Brothers had to.
They had to
the
come out
son
and check it
of
out.
whatever had to come and
Yeah.
approve the Ghostbusters stuff.
It was
And
like
so-
doing like House of a Thousand Corpses approval and all that. So it's just there's a lot of steps involved.
Rob Zombie came for that approval.
No, it was the representatives of the film.
Of Rob, yeah.
the film. So like the people, most of the time it's the office folks that
Except
just
for
do
us.
the approval. Yeah,
He came
right.
and approved.
Yeah, when they did Us, that was
Keenan-
such a fun. Jordan Peele.
Jordan
Peele?
Peele.
Yeah, Peele. I think no, he had to make a virtual approval, but then they had Stranger Things. They had the kids come,
Oh,
and I
that's
remember
cool.
how like, oh my god, we gotta get everything ready because the kids are coming, you know, and like the stress of like getting everything approved. It's like that like opening week
Yeah,
of
get it done
HHN,
now.
Get it done now, and no matter how long like the team works on HHN, they always feel like they need more time because it's just so much detail and
Yeah,
like
sure.
things like don't get approved in time sometimes, so then they're like waiting. It's like hurry up and wait, and then just like getting everything down the pipeline to get approved and out there.
Or something
It's-
changed at the last minute.
But I highly recommend if you ever have a chance to go through the houses with the lights on, do it because
Okay.
it's so.
They offer that.
It's so
Yeah.
great. I love that they do that now because we used to have to go through with the lights on, just checking our lists off for work. You know, going okay, what do we have to work on today?
Is it like an early day thing that they allow?
think
It's a
so.
special ticket, and it's HHN with the lights on is what it's
Yeah.
called.
Huh.
And you can go through. They take you not all the houses, but specific, like the big icon
Sound
houses,
stages.
the soundstage houses, and they'll let you, and you can see where all the workings of it,
It's
all
so
the special
cool.
effects,
So
how
that
they
would
work
be
it.
more fascinating.
You get
Yeah.
to see a lot of detail that you didn't otherwise see before, like the classic monster house. So much detail in that house, but with the lights down, I mean the scenic lights, the lightning effects and everything, you're just so like visually like just overwhelmed. Like there's so much to look at that you
Sure.
miss a lot of
The
things.
soundstage houses are amazing as far as
Yeah.
scenic wise.
And they're very air conditioned, so
Yeah,
like
those
you're-
are the best.
You're very cooled down in there, and it is creepy. Like I remember going into the houses just with the lights on, with no one in there, and it's just like so quiet, and you're like, I know no one's here to pop out at me right now because it's no one's here, but like it still feels creepy just like
Yeah.
walking through that
Quiet.
Ghostbuster house.
Oh, the
with
boo
nobody
holes.
there.
You find out where all the boo holes are.
Oh, yeah.
And but that smell of construction
Yeah.
always reminds us of Hollow HHN, because when you go through houses, you smell the fresh wood.
Sure.
Yeah.
and
That
then
haunted house smell.
That
I don't
haunted
know.
house. That haunted house smell. So
A little
it's-
bit of paints.
Yeah.
yeah, and fog juice,
Yeah.
and you
All
know.
that.
Plywood, whatever.
So
Yeah.
fun.
That's one of the things that I like. Every time I go to like one of the big soundstage houses at Hollywood Horror Nights, they always have to get me out of there because
You stand there.
I
You
stand
just,
there.
It's like, babe, we gotta
Oh,
keep
and-
moving.
yeah,
And
like
she's
you
like,
want-
Dead
There's
House,
so
I'm
much
just
to
like,
love.
there's
Yeah.
so much
Yeah.
to see here, and I'm
Absolutely.
like, y'all took your time to put this together. You need people
Yeah.
here to appreciate.
American
I'm the
Werewolf
same
in
way.
London.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
that one.
They
That
couldn't
was
get me out of
so
that house
well
for
done.
nothing. Like,
and just
I-
standing outside of the inn and everything like that. Just like, look at like they
They're
even
like,
got they even got the
"Move
etchings on the
along."
wall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the subway, going to the subway,
The
and
subway.
you see the
yeah.
projection of the wolf shadow. I mean,
Yes.
of the werewolf shadow, and like, wow, that looks great. And then
So
the
much detail.
the
chaos
puppet
of
looks
Piccadilly
fantastic.
Circus is like, but yeah, the
We stood there and watched the
we
wolf
stood
all
watching
morphing
them,
on the floor.
and
you
they're
know,
like, so
yeah.
there's like moving along. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
Hold on, I'm not done yet,
I wanna
yeah.
see,
When you
look
find
at
the little
me,
stuff, you go,
this is
oh my god, they
great.
got that. Oh
Yeah.
my god, they got that part.
Yes.
Especially if you
It
know a
is.
movie really well, and people do scrutinize, especially if they're
Sure.
if it's one of their favorite movies,
Sure.
and you do homage, they do it right.
Yeah,
It's
much
so
fun.
appreciative.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like I loved when they did The Shining because that's like one of my
Yes.
favorites. And you know, you can't do everything, but how are you going to design it in a haunted house? So it was like so cool how they built that. And I remember going through with you after work, and I'm like nerding out. I'm like looking at everything, and
You're actually
I'm in the
there
front, and he's
in
like,
the-
Kyla, keep going, keep going. I'm like, but I have
Yes.
to
Yeah,
look.
you're there in the Stanley Hotel, and you're
Yeah.
seeing it from this perspective, you know,
Yeah.
not on film.
And having seen the movies, having read the books,
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
you have to like you can actually. It's like you're standing in Stephen King's
Oh,
brain.
my God.
Like it's such an amazing thing.
I'm
I
such
totally
a
get that.
Stephen King nerd, and then like just was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And I remember I just recently read The Shining the second time because I read it in middle school, and I was like, I need to read this again, like, you know, in my adult life. I just feel like I needed to hunker down and just like read that, and then
seeing
we
Dr.
saw the
Sleep-
house.
and seeing Dr. Sleep and that.
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
really,
Oh
really
my
good.
gosh, that should be another house. They should do Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep's like the book is so phenomenal.
So good.
We
And
we
it's
listened to
like-
the audiobook of it.
Yes.
It
I
was
followed
really good.
along
Yes.
with the audiobook in the book because I always like to read and listen at the same time because it's just like the way Stephen King writes. It's just like so, oh my god.
Yeah,
But then we
it's
watched
great.
the movie. I had to finish the book before the movie came out because it was just like, oh my god, but they did this, and it's just
Well,
so
and then Ready
cool.
Player One, then when they digitally recreated the scene, in
The
it, and it
Overlook
didn't look
Hotel.
digital. It looked
No,
real.
it was
It's like
so
these
good.
digital characters are in the real Stanley Hotel. It's just amazing how.
Yeah, I forgot
Yeah,
about that. That's right.
brilliantly
Yeah.
done. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the
That's so
details.
fun.
I think details are so.
That's what her and
important.
I devil in the details.
Doubles in the details.
One of the times that I was, they did, it was like a scare zone and it was like
Oh, it was like Victorian porcelain dolls.
porcelain doll looking.
And they're on stilts.
Very clockwork,
Oh,
very
yeah.
steampunky.
And Gretchen's just like they're coming up on Gretchen to like scare her, and she's like, "You're so
Wow.
You're
beautiful."
just so
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
Like, I
Yeah.
don't think that's the reaction they were hoping for, but I'm like, you
No.
can stand here and just loom over me, and I'm just
Yeah.
going to admire all
I
that you
love
got
all the
going
detail.
on. you
I'm
know?
the same. I'm like looking at the costumes and the makeup and just like how they're moving and performing, and I'm just like, oh, like I don't get scared really, and then like I love how you do, because then I'm just like, oh,
I get scared when I'm in the house.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know.
When
But
they-
I do.
when they
But I
jump
go.
at me,
But I
will
scream. I know though. I scream and I go, ah. Oh wow, that looks really good.
I giggle like
And
uncontrollably.
then,
Like,
but then
good job,
usually,
you got me.
it usually hits me this way and knocks me this way and then knocks me this way, and I'm like, I just want to look at things. Stop it.
Yeah.
Time to look at everything.
But yeah, it's just they do it well, and just watching all the drunk people.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
See,
how-
I don't get that. Like,
Yeah.
I have to have my
That's
full
what
faculties.
But you got to enjoy.
Yeah.
Now, I would say people that are very scary. Have a drink or two. It helps relax you a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
But there are people that you just get stone drunk.
Who is
Yeah.
this? We were in line for I don't
Oh, I
remember what
made-
house
I
it was.
made a best
You
friend.
made a best friend.
Yeah.
She had a
She's
a tall boy that I
in her
know she
purse.
did not buy at the park.
Oh wow.
And
She's like, do you want
What's
some?
up?
I'm
And
like,
Gretchen's
no,
like, no,
I'm
it's
good
good.
with your purse beer. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
I'm good with your purse beer.
Yeah.
You're all
There
good
you go.
there.
Oh my
She's
gosh.
like, I could totally take your woman. And he's like,
I'm
you
like,
can
"Oh,
have her.
Okay, go for it.
And
You
what's
do.
better is when, especially the line that goes like this. So you see people
Oh, you
this
keep
way,
crossing them
but you
back
keep
and
saying
forth.
the same people. And what's worse is if you like see like a friend, but you're not really friends, and they go, hey. You got like 8 more times, and you
Keep
go,
being cordial,
hey.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really want to see you.
Oh my gosh. I
Now
We
love
ran into people
now
like
we're
that
best
many times.
friends.
Yeah.
I miss some good scares. I remember I scared a lady in the Chucky house in 2009 like so hard that she pulled a track of her weave out
Oh.
of her hair. And I felt bad, but then I was like, oh. And then her and her friends just ran out of the room, and there's this like hair, like piece of hair, this track of hair, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I have like my like Chucky gloves on. I'm like, okay. And I ended up taking it back to the trailer to go, look what I got. And I'm like holding it with my
Trophy.
knife.
It's
I'm
a
like,
trophy.
look what I got, it's a trophy. And I put it on like our announcement board thing, and my coordinator's like, that's disgusting. I was like, it's like, a cat got a lizard and it brought it back to its
Here, I have to
owner.
show you what I brought.
It's for the family.
It's for the family.
When I did Psychopath Maze, I was Norman Bates, and I was on top of a fireplace, and the perspective was, if you're walking, this side is the fireplace, and then there's a bookshelf. And what the bookshelf does, it kind of goes like this and stops, which drives you towards me to the fireplace. And there's a giant mirror, but it's a force, but there's no mirror. But in the middle of the room, there's a chandelier. And then there's a chandelier. And then it looks like it's
The
real
reflection.
glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually come through the mirror and I swipe down with
Oh.
the
Yeah.
and I'm at your level and I come down with a knife right
Uh-huh.
here. And I remember a lady coming through and I swiped down at her and she got so scared. You run and it's supposed to look like a window, but French doors. And then you take an immediate right. Well, it's just plywood painted. But she ran right to it, hit it, knocked herself out.
Oh,
And
bless
she's
her
lying
heart.
there.
Oh,
And I'm
no.
going, and I'm a young 23-year-old going, oh my God, what do I do? But the funny thing is it was, I'm looking down, but I'm in the corner of my boo hole seeing what's going on, going, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? And people are stepping over her. And I'm like, and so my coordinator, I go, there's a lady
You gotta pick her up.
there. And so they had to stop.
Aw.
But when I was doing Horror Nights, they had celebrities come through a lot.
Okay.
And they were filming Married with Children, an episode of Married with Children, where Bud Bundy comes through with 2 girls being all cool through my house. And so I get to be on, I got to find it. I was on Married with Children. I don't know if they, but I remember
Use the
swiping,
clip.
and he screams, but the girls don't. And he goes, it's all right. I'm cool. And like, that was like the thing.
That like, I'm not
Yeah.
afraid.
But we had a lot of celebrities come through on the earlier HHN nights all the time.
Yeah.
They would come in. But they not so much anymore. It's not, you know.
Or when you do, you don't recognize them, or they're so like.
Or they're backdoored in
inconspicuous.
to a house.
You're like, oh.
Like, yeah, we had a lot of those where they would stop. They would make not announcement, but I noticed the flow stopped. Like there was nothing coming through for a good 2 minutes. I'm like, okay, what's weird? And what they were doing is they were holding a line and then letting celebrities come through. And a lot of times you can't recognize a celebrity. You know it's a group of people, whether it's a group of business people that are important, VIPs, or like the president of Universal's coming through. But you can't really tell who it is. You just know there's a group, then they're gone.
Yeah.
All of a sudden the flow starts again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And later you're like, oh, that was so and so.
You got to go ask somebody who it might have been.
Yeah, and I did a lot of times. I go, who came through? And they would say, oh, it was such and such. And, well, that's cool. I wish I would have looked better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't scare and go, hey,
who are you?
Are you somebody important?
Yeah, you look cool.
We did that at the Harry Potter section. There was some sort of Latino pop star.
Oh, yeah, we
and
were.
we had no idea who he was, and I just kind of kept walking. And I was like, oh, who are you?
He had like people around, like, don't get close. And it's like,
But
I don't know who I'm looking at. I just want to see who it is, you know?
That was fun.
Oh, wow.
I'm glad you said that. I opened a Diagon Alley. I was one of the wizards. I wore Draco Malfoy's real costume.
No kidding.
Oh, that's cool.
So because he was my height, and they were putting me originally. They just took a group of people, a group of not impersonators,
Actors or
what's the word? Come on.
atmosphere.
No.
Oh,
They took
improv
all the
actors.
strong improv people in the park, and they put them. Anytime we do any grand opening, they take a lot of the people that can really do well in improv, which are usually the same people that they put. So they took us and they put us in costumes, and they were all when they opened Diagon, you couldn't make those costumes because they were all those wool and
They're specific.
So that what they did is they go, oh, we have all the costumes from the movie, like over there.
Yeah.
And it was the celebrities and extras and whatever. So they were fitting me with different things, and they put me in this one dorky one, and I'm like, I want to be a bad guy. Put me in something cool. So the one costumer that knows me real well, she goes, here, put this on.
Yeah.
And I put it on, I'm like, oh wow, this fits really, really good. And then she goes, you know what costume that is? And he goes, that's Draco Malfoy's. That's the actual actor.
It had his name stitched
and I looked in the
in
tag, and it was.
And Tom Felton.
So I'm like, I'm wearing
so
costume.
That's so cool.
So
much fun.
when we opened it, the girl that was with me, she didn't know how to do an English accent. So she didn't speak the whole time. It's Diagon Alley's prostitute. I have a girl prostitute that I've hooked up, and because when we had select guests came for the special event, she didn't do any talking.
No, she just looked like
she was
really
like
cool.
She was like this, and they've asked me why didn't she talk. I'm like, oh, she has a problem. And but I got to meet Warwick Davis. I got to meet because it was basically we were standing and he was doing speaking. But before that, his whole family was there. So we got to meet the family and everything, and I got to meet Warwick. And I got him on friends on Facebook, which is cool because I'm like, remember me? But we talked for a long time. But he was there. Helen Bonham Carter, I got to meet her. She was really sweet.
Yeah.
I got to meet, what's his name? The big character guy. Hagrid. I got
okay. Robbie Coltrane?
Robbie Coltrane.
Coltrane.
I got to meet him, and really nice people, such nice people.
Yeah.
The twins, of course, they're always there every time.
Yeah.
Every time we do a big Harry Potter thing, it's always the same people.
They love coming back.
They love it.
It's so fun.
But the opening of Hagrid's was really, really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't get to do that, but I watched. Did you guys watch the
We saw
opening?
it, yeah.
When they
It
had the
looked really
drones
cool.
that were,
Yes.
the one. That was a cool effect.
They do it right. It was really cool to see. It's a lot of work that goes into that, and then just like the amount of costume storage that they've got over the years.
Oh,
it's
I'm
just
quite
like,
sure.
I can't imagine what
they
one of
still
those rooms look
have,
like.
and some of it they don't have all of it, but like they keep some of it, and it's like I remember being back there, and then I saw like the Toon Circus
I got
show.
to be a repair for a hot minute.
Oh yeah, you did do costume repair for a little while.
Yeah.
That was fun. I just remember like going
Costume
in there
tech.
and like, what's the oldest costume you guys have that's like been like, like they don't have anymore? And it was the Toon Circus, and it was Boris and Natasha's
Oh.
costumes.
Oh wow.
And I saw Natasha's dress laid out, and it had 1996 written on the inner tag, and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool.
That is so
It's
cool.
just neat to see those little those
Having
time capsules.
having those characters out was fun. Boris and
So
Natasha,
fun.
the girl that I remember them being in Toon Lagoon area,
Yeah.
and they went into the Betty Boop store, and they took all the merchandise and they pushed it all to the middle of the store. They all pushed all of the cute end caps and everything, and they walked away. Those girls were so mad.
Oh my god, I'm bad. I would have been too.
I love the antics of the actors. I think it's so
always.
fun.
I mean, I don't know
We've
how
played
people.
with Beatles. We probably played with you, and you didn't even.
Yeah.
Probably.
Years
Yeah, who
ago,
knows,
because
right?
we actually. The Beetlejuice review was actually our absolute favorite thing, and we had to hit it
Yeah.
every
Every time.
time we went, and we would totally play with Beetlejuice out front,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
and have just a great, because that's the best part about any kind of working with any kind of actors as a guest
Yeah.
is just to play with the character.
Oh,
Were you
my
being Beetlejuice when you started hanging out more in front of the Monsters Cafe? There's a chair there. There's a throne chair.
The electric,
Yeah. The electric chair.
Yeah, we did that for. I did that for a hot minute, and that was the last time. Because when the grave finished, when they closed, they took them all and stuck them over there. They didn't know what to do.
Right.
Like the monsters, they couldn't. But Beetlejuice, they pretty much licensed that consistently because it's a hot character.
Yeah.
So for a hot minute, I did that, and then I stopped doing it. I got tired of doing it. I lost interest when the script changed.
Okay.
When the newer
Like
newer show started,
Remember,
I just
we were,
Beetlejuice-
We didn't like it as
Yeah.
much.
no
Yeah.
because
It was
Beetlejuice was hardly in it.
Yeah.
And I always liked it when I transmorphed them.
Sure.
It was so
I
fun.
never saw the show when it changed.
Yeah.
I just liked it when say my name 3 times and I did this and they all changed.
Yeah.
The newer show, I was told that
It was different.
that went away. They already came out as the cool
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah, that was. I remember that's when we kind of stopped
That's
going,
probably one
and
of
then
the
when
last
it
times
ended,
we-
we're kind of like,
We're like,
I'm
we gotta go
not
again.
surprised.
Yeah.
But they did change.
It
They
was
changed
different.
it. They changed it. For the newer kids. But you lost that appeal of Beetlejuice.
Yeah,
He's in
totally.
control.
I missed that stage.
And the classic monsters coming out and then changing.
Yeah. I
That
agree.
was fun because you get to see them in the classic form and
And
then
doing the whole opening improv and going out in the audience, that was fun for me.
Yeah.
I tried to make the women uncomfortable, which was perfect.
basically.
Yeah.
Now they love Beetlejuice.
But they expect that.
Yeah, I know.
You know, it's
And
like
I
if
love
you
that.
don't,
But
then it's like
but
Beetlejuice isn't being.
But when they're cool about it, when they're, oh my god, I love it, I'm like, no, you're not good enough for me. I tried to find,
Yeah.
I was trying to find the women that didn't like Beetlejuice to make them feel uncomfortable,
That
and I couldn't find them a lot
Yeah.
because women just love Beetlejuice. He's
Yeah.
that bad boy,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know. He think he's sexy, he could be sexy, but he's bad boy.
But he's also like a rotting corpse.
But I'm
So-
around
Right,
court.
yeah. Hygiene problems.
Yeah, like
A lot of times, I just realize how more women get attracted to bad boy characters.
Mhm.
Yeah. They do. It's fun though. It's but it's a lot of bantering, for a villain kind of. Well, not a villain. He's kind of just like a.
But like Jack the Clown,
Yeah.
women love Jack the Clown. Boys love Chance. I
Yeah.
mean,
They love the bad
It's the
boys. They don't want it in
villains.
real life, but they like the fantasy.
Yeah.
Of
He's
the
a
fun with
macabre
it.
Exactly.
Deadpool. He's not a bad guy, but he's not a good guy. He's kind of
Yeah.
mercenary of ghouls, if you
like the
will.
Joker.
Yeah.
Like he's funny one minute, but it gets serious one minute.
It's if he gets
You know?
something out of it, then he'll do it. Because it's like how he wanted to marry Lydia. It's like she didn't have any say in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and she's only 18, and he's
Yeah.
whatever.
You're like, hey, you gotta slim pickings. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't do that to her folks. I don't go, I'm dating your daughter.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
so funny.
I told her one time, I'm like, I want to do that. I'm going to get right behind your dad and
Yeah,
go, guess what? I'm dating your daughter.
Great, good, Rob. And that was it.
Yeah, no.
I remember Gretchen started digging into your guys' Instagrams, and she comes to me one day and she goes, "Gretchen, she's Betty Boop. I think we've seen her before."
I was
Yeah.
like, she's
Betty Boop.
She's Betty.
I love Betty. I miss her. I
If
miss
you ever
her
just
so
see a
much.
crazy girl go, Betty, I love you, and then keep
Yeah.
going, that was probably me.
I'd be like, there you go. I love it. I love it when people say hi that I know, like, outside of things, because I feel like I'm in such a bubble that I don't get to see people I know, and, like, when I do, I'm like, oh my god, get over here. I don't care if I have a line. Get right up to the front. Like, I'm like, come
we
over
did
here.
We did that a lot. I mean, we
Yeah.
shouldn't have, but people we know, we go, hold on a second.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Get
sure,
over
a little
here.
special
Get
treatment,
it.
sure.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's just such a cool job that you guys have created for yourself.
Yeah, not only
It's
did
so
you
fun.
did you make a niche for yourself inside of such a well-known property,
Yeah.
Universal in general, but then you
Absolutely.
took that, what you learned specifically
Yeah,
You flew with it.
from Dude, and
Uh-huh.
just made your own thing.
exactly.
I mean,
We
Just
really
our own
admire
setup.
that. Like, we look up to that because I think it's very inspiring for people like Tim and I who have
Yeah.
had the corporate jobs. You know, we have
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the normie career, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like so inspiring because it's like it can be done. You
Yes.
can turn your art into a career.
you even,
and I
you
think
even
that's
said, like,
phenomenal.
I started, but I didn't have this, so I figured it out and did it. And then I
Exactly.
didn't have this, so I figured it
Yeah.
out. So you started out with literally nothing,
Yeah.
and now you've made this full
Literally
name for yourself.
nothing.
You've been specifically asked for to do things
Yeah.
for big properties.
Yeah, and I like the fact that I wasn't given it to begin with. I want to learn. That's the best thing, is I'm glad that I did go through all this, because there is so many learning curves, and makes you better of a performer.
Sure.
You know, when you get to that final product. You know, I'm glad I didn't go to A to Z. I'm glad I went, you know,
Yeah.
version
Yeah.
2, version 3, version 4, because, and it's still ever evolving. Like, we will always reinvent our craft. It always is changing.
Oh yeah.
And it just makes us better performers that way.
Well, I think if it was easy,
It wouldn't be
everybody
worthwhile.
would do it.
It
It would
wouldn't
be
be
worth
worthwhile.
it, you
Yeah.
know. It's
And I
like
like it that-
this course you chose was
Yeah.
not a straight and narrow
It's a
path.
self-built
and
path.
I really am inspired by that.
And not everybody can do it, which that's what another
It
thing
takes a
that
lot
we
of
like.
patience. I feel like a lot of patience, because you don't always get it right the first time.
No.
You just have to dust yourself up and try again, and just keep at it until it's at the point where you're like, I'm happy with this, and you know, it's just, you know, we're so picky. You know, you're always your worst critic.
Well, doing Aunt Bethany and Uncle Lewis.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And it was
Loved
so
it.
funny because
Loved it.
she played Betty Boop,
Yeah.
and then that was Betty
Which
Boop.
was so easy for
Yeah.
her.
Yeah, I I loved playing that character because I'm just obsessed with May Castell.
Not a lot of people realize that
Yeah.
she was the voice of Betty Boop,
Yeah.
and I thought that was so spot
Yeah.
on, so
She's
perfect.
my favorite. I was like, I just wish I got to meet that lady one time. But like, oh my gosh, what a
Such
what
an
a
icon.
treasure of an
Yeah.
actress! And it was just like, and they had that as one of the movies at the drive-in. We're like, we could do those characters,
And
and you
Uncle-
always do like Uncle Lewis.
Uncle Lewis is natural to me.
And
so.
we were gonna do Dr. Finkelstein,
Yeah.
and that's actually the same.
It's the same actor.
The same
So-
actor.
It
that plays Uncle Lewis.
is.
Because you listen to it, and
Yeah,
now
no, I
you're like,
hear
oh
it,
my
yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
And yeah, another costume we wanted.
Frog's breath.
Oh.
Worm's water.
We just watched a movie with him in it. Oh, we watched My Blue Heaven with Steve Martin.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he's one of the gangster guys. It was
William
the pet-
Hickey.
William Hickey, yeah.
William
Yeah.
Hickey.
He was in Tales from the Crypt.
That's my favorite
Yeah.
episode where he
Big.
switches the body.
Yes.
Yeah, one of my favorite
that,
episodes.
that was a big Tales from the Crypt, and growing up was
Yeah.
Friday nights was you know, I have another friend of mine that you know, we were super nerds. We didn't have a lot of friends growing up, but our escape was HBO
Mhm.
Yeah.
Friday nights, and so it would be like you buy fast food and you watch HBO.
Yeah.
And Tales from the Crypt was hot at that time,
Okay.
and I remember all those
Oh,
episodes
yeah.
of Tales from the Crypt that I watched. And you know, growing up, they're a little scary.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Sure.
But I told her the episode of the twins, and it was what's his name that did the penguin? That was
Burgess
DeVito?
Meredith.
Danny DeVito.
Oh,
Danny DeVito,
Yeah.
and he was
Yeah.
dating these two twins,
Right.
and
Oh,
and
they
Yeah.
got wind of it.
yeah, well,
yeah.
and this one loved him,
And they
and this
split
one
him in
loved him. And they go,
half, right?
well, I got. And at the end, they split him in half, and they're both like this, and he's dead, but they're going, oh yes, but they each got a half of him.
It was the
got
camera
wind.
angle. You only saw it from the side, and then it panned around and showed that he was
Oh,
half.
wow.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
so cool. I have to see that episode because that
And
just
the
seems
Arnold Schwarzenegger. I
crazy.
think that was one with William Hickey. Was he
He
wanted the
directed
body,
that,
and it
yeah.
was Arnold. And at the end, it was William Hickey's voice, and Arnold's body.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
The thing was that William Hickey had.
He was the bad guy.
He was the bad guy. He
Yeah.
wanted to have this young hot body. Isn't that what it was?
Yes.
He wanted to have the young hot body, and he kept paying this guy to give him his body parts, if you will, the transplant.
But he says, we're gonna transfer it back at the end.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So in
I'm
the
just
end-
borrowing it.
so in
I'm
the
borrowing
end-
the pecs.
Yeah.
Right. So in the end, this guy that got all the money looks like the old man, but the girl goes for him instead anyway because he has all the money. Isn't that? Wasn't
Yes.
that how?
Wow.
Yes.
Like they do.
Yeah, because it was a little bit of this each time and a little bit of this. William got the arms only,
Yeah.
and then he got. But so at the end, they finally transferred each, and he's like, you're not getting your body back. I'm like, and the guy, but yeah, the girl ends up going for him.
It always has like a little lesson at the end. I
It's
used to
always a
watch
little
cartoons.
lesson at the end.
That started my love for anthology horror,
Yeah.
and Twilight Zone, and it actually got me onto Twilight Zone,
yeah.
and that's one of my favorite shows of all time.
Yep.
But between that,
Dark Shadows.
or
Oh,
Tales from the
yeah.
Dark Side, stuff like that, just I've always
Did you ever watch Amazing Stories?
absolutely, yeah.
Those were amazing to me. The one that stands out, the three that stand out was the John Lithgow and the dolls.
Yes.
Meeting the other woman that had a doll of him,
Oh my
and
gosh.
then the first episode that had the wheels, the guy drawing cartoonist that made the wheels actually come down on the plane.
Right, yeah, yeah.
I remember that one.
And then the train, the ghost train, and the kid. Because the grandfather gives him a ticket.
Oh, that's
And
right,
he goes,
the
I'm
little-
waiting
little
for my
model
ticket.
toy,
But
right?
the train
Yeah.
was actually when he dies. And he goes, I've got my ticket. I'm waiting. And the parents go, because he always tells the story of the phantom train.
Yeah.
And the parents are like, he's just waiting. And the kid goes, it is going to come. And the parents go, no, it's not. And the train actually comes
Sure
to the
enough.
house, breaks to the house. And he goes, and the conductor goes, do you have your ticket? And the kid gives the old man his ticket because he finally gets on the train.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are the
So
moral
cool.
lessons of
Yeah.
Oh
some of-
yeah, Twilight Zone and all that. I love that show.
yeah.
Classic. I know you just you just get inspired. Art inspires other art, and you just build off of that. That's why when we did this drive-in thing, we were like, oh, we want to do Spinguli. And it's a little hokey, but it's fun, and it's and it's for
They're,
kids
they're
too.
intentionally hokey though.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
It's the
Yeah.
fun kind of hokey.
Yeah.
So it's the purposeful hokey. And I remember we did one thing where I was like, ladies and gentlemen, your master of ceremonies, please welcome the Walking Dead.
Oh,
and
well-
he came out as Christopher
Christopher
Walken.
Walken.
Yeah. Well, the thing is there was we had all of our scripts are guidelines.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's set in stone. So when we shoot, we just go, okay, what would be good here?
He just
What would
started
somebody-
doing
So-
Christopher Walken voice, and we're like, oh my god, that's funny. Let's do that when you come up to tell your 3 Halloween jokes, those corny
And I
Halloween
said
jokes.
COVID. And
Oh,
and I
yeah.
didn't mean and I
Instead
go
of COVID.
I was telling him, everyone, scooch closer. I'm not too close. COVID. and
We
I
had a
said
cut.
COVID instead of COVID. And Roddy started laughing. He goes, cut. I'm like, what? He goes, I started laughing. And,
You said
and
COVID.
you said COVID. And I
It
said,
sounds like a
that's
Walken thing.
I said, that's
Yeah.
what Walken would say. We
I
never
think
say it
He
right.
ended
Right.
up keeping it because it was just so funny. He ended up saying
Scooch back,
COVID. COVID.
But that was great. And the King of Clowns was basically improv.
Yeah.
And then the thing is with that, though, basically the shot was that I opened up a drawer. You never saw the video, did you, of King of Clowns? I
No,
did
we
the
didn't.
commercial.
No.
I opened a drawer. It's basically different shots of a man
He's getting ready.
transforming because it's a shot of my eyes and I'm going like this, and then I'm getting ready.
Okay.
And it's I'm taking bits and pieces, and I open up a drawer, and it's a drawer with a nose, but there's dirt and worms, real worms crawling through the nose.
Ugh.
And I shake off the worm, and I put it on my nose. I actually take it and put it. Man, it smelled like soil.
Ah.
Yeah,
And there is
dirt.
one little worm that's coming
Yep.
out of the.
Oh,
thing.
God.
But yeah, the things that I do.
The things you do for art.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite I know you've done Beetlejuice a million times and that is dear to your heart, but what is the one that you're that is my fondest memory? What is your
Fester.
The one that just hits you in the heart and is like so emotionally.
Well, it's between Uncle Fester and Marty, because I've had women faint and come up to me. I've had women cry, come up to me. But Fester is, people really like Uncle Fester, and they love my Christopher Lloyd, and so that one is the most. That one's the most fun for me because I can be creepy. Because I always, when the women come up to me, I always like, you're like Debbie. And so I'm always coming, looking and walking around them and going, you're my next Debbie. Dawn's mom had a birthday. Every time we do a con, her mom has a birthday. So one year we did Adam's Family and her mom did Grandmama.
Oh, fun.
So we had the entire clan.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And she had made a cake for her, and during the middle of the con, and Dawn's mom went to the bathroom, so she went and got the cake.
Yeah, I got the
so
cake
we
out.
actually, all of us went out on the red carpet, and as her mom's come back, her mom's like looking at us weird, and I went, everyone, we need to celebrate Grandmama's birthday. And so we had a group of people around, and we sang and happy birthday to her. And she cut up the cake, and we were giving it out to the con people.
Yeah,
so fun.
Like, everyone got a cake, and then I went, everyone, come here, you want some cake? And so we cut it up, and we were giving it out to people.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh my God, food and drug would kill us right now.
Oh my God! Don't tell them where you got this slice of cake.
I completely can understand that. Yes, yes.
It was like,
do you have any food allergies? Do you need a list of ingredients?
I didn't do any of that.
Oh my
I was
God.
like, here, have some cake. Have some cake.
It's fine.
But
Oh my
people
God.
really appreciated it because we have our own at Coffee Shop of Horrors. Have you heard of that?
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
We have our
Good
coffee.
morning, BJ is the
and
best.
you got several bags of it. I mean,
Yes,
so
yes.
good.
We came up with the taste because basically we had an idea. I had an idea, and I said, you can play off the name so much. Morning BJ.
Yeah. We didn't really know the owner until we kind of met him, pitched our idea.
Doing
He was
cons.
Like, oh yeah.
And Dawn kept getting coffee. She goes like, man, you should go get some coffee. This company has amazing coffee. So we went and tried it, and I was like impressed. I love the oils.
Yeah.
And so he got to be good friends with us. And I said, would you ever consider? Because what they do is that there's a lot of people that have ideas, and they suggest collaborate for their stuff. And he's never collaborated like this before. And I said, would you collaborate with us if I came up with a flavor? If you tell me what beans you have, I'll see if I can come up with a good flavor for BJ.
Yeah.
I said, I have this pitch where BJ, would be morning BJ. Nothing like a good BJ in the morning.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he said, yeah. So we went over there, and he had these little samples of different coffees.
Yeah.
And we were there for a good couple of hours.
Oh yeah.
Tasting coffees.
I wouldn't have slept for a month,
Oh,
but it was
we
worth
didn't.
it.
Yeah. And so we
yeah.
nailed it down. And they said, well, we have this. It was going to be a strawberry. No, what was it? A banana?
Something strawberry.
Okay, they had three
banana.
things: strawberry and peanut butter
Okay.
mixed, and then they had the banana nut,
The banana nut.
and then they had another one,
Yeah.
a chocolate or
the
cinnamon.
banana nut was our favorite.
But out of all of them, I said
Just love
the
the
banana.
banana nut.
And so
And I did the art, the
she did all the art
coffee.
for the design.
Really?
No kidding.
Wow.
It
Like
was
I didn't know that's where you guys
That
were
was
going to go
me.
with it.
Yeah.
So the way that we came out with it was I on the green screen got in my robe, which is that one. That's the robe that you see.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I got into I didn't get into full makeup,
You
but I
just got
put
into your wig.
I put the wig on that, and I posed.
With the coffee cup.
With the cup.
Yeah.
Oh, and I
took
posed,
a-
and then we took a picture, and then she took it, put it into her drawing, and she took me out, and then started cartoonized it.
Awesome.
So she sent it back.
So it's
and
like
then,
your likeness, but
So it's me
grouchy you.
cartoonized on it. Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So weird.
Yeah,
I didn't know you
we
had
thought
that
it was
connection.
delicious.
Yeah, we just.
Oh, that's
We
so
were just
cool.
like, well,
Had-
we just met these people and they made this coffee. I'm gonna. They
Yeah.
got 3 bags for the. So let's get 6 bags.
Yeah, because they had that
Like-
booth around the corner there,
Yeah.
and so yeah, we got that in like the
So much
amaretto
We're
or whatever.
coffee
But,
addicts anyway.
but I didn't know that you guys were involved. I had no
Yeah.
idea you guys were involved with the
Like
morning
that
BJ
much,
coffee.
yeah.
That was
Yeah.
just legit my favorite
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was so glad. Like, it does seem like it's doing really well, so I'm so glad that
Yeah,
we got
every
to
time we
collaborate.
get updates, and people send pictures of like on the shelves,
Yeah.
and I zoom in to where I'm at, and there's always very
I
few.
see it on the shelf, I'm
Okay,
like, oh,
okay,
good.
there's not many on there. Good, it's selling well.
That's
So-
right. That's right. It's not
It
a
was
loaded
really
shelf.
good.
It's there's only a couple left.
That's so
Yeah.
funny. It's so funny.
They did sell out that spooky.
Yeah,
they did.
because we were selling bags at ours because we worked a deal with them where we would buy. When we go to cons, I'll buy a bulk supply of it,
Yeah.
and then when I sell it, I get a percent and he gets a percent
Yeah,
because we'll
sure.
sell them at our booth. And when we debuted it, we took some bags at ours, and we sold like just like that.
Mhm.
And then we went over there and said we need some more bags, and they were sold out.
They were all gone.
Sold out, all gone.
I was like,
So
okay.
I'm like, wow, we
Got
got
it.
a hit. That one was.
They
did
only
really well.
sold out like a couple of their flavors, so I was like, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah,
that,
no
like,
kidding.
it was
We,
just like
we were
sold
all
out.
about it. We were
Yeah.
like, we need
Yeah.
to go get a bag because we need a big bag. We need
Oh,
Well, if
yeah.
you ever go to coffee shop whores, they'll take whatever your coffee is and they'll nitrous it, and then they'll ice it or
They
make
make
the coffee.
ice cream out
The
of it.
zombie one is the zombie dirt.
Yeah.
They do an ice cream zombie dirt, which is great, and then they do ours, which is the coffee and
Yeah.
nitrous too.
I could see that.
Yeah,
It's
that's well,
really
yeah, that
good.
banana nut
Yeah.
flavor. Yeah,
It's in one of those like soft serve machines, and they like put the
Yeah,
crate
they'll dump the
down.
raw
It's
beans, grind them
so
up, and then they'll
good.
take their cream and everything's hand done, and they turn it into an ice cream.
I mean, you will be up all night, but
That is
it's good.
dangerous. That's dangerous.
They make
We'll
some-
do it on it. Like, we'll do it before a holiday weekend. We're
That
gonna
sounds
be
great.
up
I'm all about it. I'm just saying.
Well, if maybe in the future, if you guys ever want to go, we'll meet you guys out there because it's in Claremont.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they do, they have all of their coffees
Baked
up there.
goods. It's so.
They do
great.
their own bake. They bake their own cinnamon. Well, everything's hand done in house.
Yeah. It's
Well,
so
we
good.
friends now, so we totally
Yeah.
gotta go out there
Right,
and have some coffee.
And they do things for the
Yeah.
kids. What he does. Nick's so sweet. They do Friday and Saturday nights before COVID. They had games. They had big TVs, and they would invite all the kids in,
Yeah.
the teenagers
Do,
and
like,
like
game night.
the college kids, and it'd be game night. And they'd have video games.
That's
It's video games and
awesome.
coffee,
Yeah.
That's so
I
cool.
wish we had that when we were in
I know,
college.
right?
and they would just do
Cool
nights,
shots in
and
college.
kids would come in. They would drink coffee, and then they
Yeah.
had like 4 or 5 screens, and they were playing video games.
They just opened a new location sometime, like before COVID. I remember they were like opening a new location, so I
Yeah, it was
haven't
supposed to
seen
be in
it.
Old Town.
Oh, okay. I think they did open it. I have to like check in with them again. It's been a while, but I love their
But
original.
Horror
location.
Happenings, are you guys friends with Horror Happenings with a Dead Girl?
No.
On Instagram. She always reports, she goes to coffee shop a lot, and she always takes pictures of the wall of all the coffees, and I always look to see, okay, which one's selling out? Okay,
Yeah.
ours is
Where's
gone, that's
Beetlejuice?
good.
I would totally do the
Nice.
exact
That's
same
pretty
thing.
cool.
It's so cool. I'm so glad.
You're like right after my own heart. Like every time you say it, I'm like, that's exactly how I
Right,
would
yeah.
do it.
I always,
Yeah.
my analogy to everything, I always quote Mel Brooks, merchandising. Everything's
Absolutely.
merchandising with me.
Yeah.
That's why I'm the business and the idea side, and she's
Yeah.
you know.
I help execute
what
it.
can make me money? What can I
Yeah,
do?
you gotta find something you like, but you still
Yeah.
gotta be able to pay the bills. So we gotta make some money at it,
Exactly.
Yeah.
you know. And
Creative problem solving. Just.
I'm always going, okay, what's today?
Yeah.
I have this idea. What do you think about it?
Right.
that's awesome.
Always
That's
building.
awesome.
Always growing.
I love that creators are always creating.
Yeah.
It's like nonstop, and it's like a train that just can't
Oh yeah.
slow down.
We can't.
Awesome.
Then
See,
that's
that,
what-
that's the thing I don't get about people who just exist. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand the
Like,
concept of not wanting to put something,
Yeah.
just make something.
People
Yeah.
are
You know
just
what I'm saying?
complacent.
What do
Yeah.
people do? Like,
Yeah.
what do people do?
We-
like,
we were just
so
talking
bored.
about this. We were just
Yeah.
talking about this the other
hardly
night
even watch
that
TV. Like, we're
people
always
there's
doing
people who
something.
seem content of going to school and then going to college and getting married and having a kid and,
Yeah.
and that's it.
And
Not
doing that 9 to 5, or whatever career
Yeah.
set path they have,
Yeah.
and or it's like a job that they didn't like go to school for, that they just
Sure.
like they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I guess this is it.
but
And
they
then-
they have like this
Like, you're
TV.
an accountant. Did
this-
you grow up to be? Did you just always want to be an accountant?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
They have this TV idea of what a family is, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
And I just like, what do you do for a hobby?
Yeah.
Well, I don't really have a hobby.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm like, oh, good. Well,
How
we
do you-
have all of the
yeah,
hobbies.
I have all the hobbies. If you
We'll
want
give
one of
you
mine,
one.
I got you a starter kit going. Come on
Yeah,
over, you know?
and I
You
tell
wanna get
people,
sculpting, I sculpt. You want to
Exactly.
paint, I paint.
Yeah.
the one thing I get all the time is from people that I've talked to, they go, well, I got to go to college for that. No, you don't.
No.
There's the internet.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you got a brain,
You know, in
You
my
can
career
learn.
field, I get
Yeah.
that same thing because people think they have to go to culinary
You
school.
don't.
I'm like, I've been a pastry chef for 15 years. I
You did
hung-
an apprenticeship.
I did an apprenticeship under a master pastry chef
Yeah.
for a year, but it's like I didn't go to culinary school. I learned everything
No.
else just by messing with it. Like
Exactly.
and you have a love
Same.
for it
I
and
tell
a
you how
passion
many
for it, and it
cupcakes
comes
I've destroyed
natural.
in my
Yeah.
life, you know. But
Yeah,
yes.
Everybody has something that can come natural.
Yeah.
You just got to hone it in
Yeah.
and find it. And people that are interested in doing this type of work or
Yeah.
whatever, if
Like-
it's your passion, focus it.
Yeah.
Performing and stuff. Don't go to college for performing. Like
No, you're going to waste your money.
my parents went to college and majored in musical theater and acting, and they said, Kyla, whatever you do, just don't do that. Just don't go to school and have a student debt for the rest of your life going to school. And it's
Theater,
like, oh, okay.
yeah, theater and all that. That's a skill that you either
Yeah.
have or you don't.
I ended up
agree.
just getting my BFA in art history because that was like my passion. Or
Sure.
like,
God, she's
I
a
thought
huge
like what a
historian.
fundamental like building blocks for anything that you do is just to have art history background. And my friends who do like costume design for film, they said, don't go to theater, major in art history. And I said, okay. And I'm so glad I listened to them because like now like so many professional costume designers, they're like, oh, I just went to art history. I just did that. And I was like, oh. But it's just like a foundation of like knowing your time periods and stuff. And then like from there, it's like I'm that useless like dictionary of information. So when I see
love
art,
it.
I'm
Oh my
like
gosh.
that, and then I'll give the year, and I'm like somehow I still retain some of this stuff.
When we watch movies, especially period pieces, she's like, "This is the con." Did you
see
this
that
is
painting right
see
there?
That? This is that. Like, all of that. We watch more. Like, we don't watch a lot of shows. And her uncle is so funny. He goes, "Have you been watching this show?"
He watches
Yeah, I'm
too
watching-
much TV.
We-
You're watching way too much television. And so the only thing that we watch Mysteries of the. I mean, what is it? Art.
Mysteries of the Museum.
Mystery of the
or
Museum.
something.
We watch. Her and I love educational stuff. So
Me
Yeah.
too, yeah.
so we'll watch Histories of the Museum. I've watched Your Honor. Bryan Cranston, I love Bryan Cranston, so I watch a lot of his stuff.
We watched through Downton Abbey together.
Downton Abbey,
Even though we watched it
rewatched.
separately before we dated, we got into
infatuated
that.
with the Royals.
Oh,
I love
yes.
The
The
Crown.
Crown. We
The
watched
Crown. I
Crown.
watched like the first
2 seasons.
two seasons of The Crown because I just don't have enough time off work to be able to watch
Exactly.
shows. But it's like
All of a sudden, the 4th season's out, and she's like,
I'm
"What
like,
happened?"
where did these come
Exactly.
from? But I am like, I follow all of the royal family.
Yeah.
I
It's,
get up
it's
at 4 a.m. to
fascinating.
watch them all get married.
It's
you know?
fascinating.
It's fascinating how
Their life
how
is so
miserable.
amazing. Yes.
miserable they all are.
It's like they have all this pomp and circumstance and anything they
Yeah.
could possibly want, but it's like
and they're still unhappy.
your
and
life
miserable.
is lame.
Yeah.
Like this is what you do all day. You just
It's,
be.
It's
Yeah.
controversy and scandal.
Mhm.
Like that's all they care about. If they don't want any of that. If and like what was it? The one.
No spoilers.
Oh yeah, no spoilers.
But it's so good. Like you look at that and you're like, oh, I'm so grateful. I'm just a commoner
It's
that
nice
can
to be
like
normal.
figure out like I
'Cause
want to
they're
be an
figureheads.
artist or I want to be like this. But like
I can wear.
You don't
I don't have
have
to
to.
wear pantyhose because it's decreed by the queen.
And
like,
Exactly.
I have to sit. You know, they have to sit a
Exactly.
certain
They can't
way.
be seen taking their coats off. They can't be
Oh.
seen
No.
like
doing
it's-
normal human being
Yeah,
things.
they cannot be videographed eating. Like they
Yeah.
get to see
Yeah.
and
their food in
emotionless.
their mouth. It's
Very
like, yeah.
emotionless.
They
It's so
Will and
interesting.
Kate can't be like holding hands, and that was one of the things that like Harry and Meghan was so like controversial because
Good
they were
for
holding
them.
hands, and
Yeah.
it's like you can't show any. They're British, no public displays of affection. You know,
Never.
it's like
What
Such a
about
faux
now?
pas.
Can they now, since they stepped down from their like?
yeah, but that's the only reason.
But
they
they're
could.
almost
Yeah.
cast out.
They're-
Like the
they're
queen
like-
doesn't even associate.
They're
with them now.
losing. They
Oh, I
lost
didn't
their
realize
title.
that.
Lost
like,
the title.
I knew that
Yeah.
they had stepped down and lost all that,
Good
but I didn't
for
realize
them.
there
Now,
was like.
now they're living in
Oh, yeah.
Canada, so
Oh.
like,
They're
they-
they're probably so much
Yeah,
happier.
it's-
They probably
Queen-
No doubt about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's scandal. It's holding
Scandal.
hands and
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh, we're in love. How dare we?
And she was divorced, and
Oh.
it was just oh my gosh.
what,
so
what
much
happened to
scandal.
Diana is
Well, and
Oh,
that's why
you'll love
Harry
that
is the way he
season.
is, you know.
Yes.
So it's like I get it.
my
love
mother
that
did this and look what you did. So I'm gonna I don't.
Oh,
I like
yeah.
your zero.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I
That's
love that
cute.
you're wearing it's Gremlin
Yeah,
in a 3D.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
that is really.
I was like, we're gonna come talk about movies, man.
Yeah, we thought about the Back to the Future thing, so it's like let's wear some old school nostalgia stuff. But
I love this. This
We're
has
all
been
about
so
it.
Wonderful.
Oh,
Like I
I'm so
just think
glad.
it's so much fun to talk to other creative people and just
Yeah.
and you guys are like in a level in a world that we probably won't get to, but I'm so interested in how you guys became what you
Aw.
are. Like it's so inspiring, you know.
Well, you can
I
totally
just
get
love
there
it.
too. I'm like, I think like, what we had, we like built out of nothing, and I'm like, I love to just share that like gift with other people, and just not to see like only the final product, but just to see like the process of what goes into it.
The heart.
And
that
the
went
heart,
into it.
yeah, because like we love being in character, but we also just love like talking to people just as ourselves, talking shop. Because
But I like
there's
to
so
help
much we can
people,
learn
too.
and teach.
I like to.
and, yeah.
People always ask me for advice and what I've
Yeah.
done, and I always want to offer help. People that are
Yeah.
inspiring and wanting to do things.
Or kids that like
Tell them
don't
I
know
know.
anything about makeup or costuming, and they're like, how do I even start? And it's just like, oh my, the world's your oyster, like it's just there's so many ways to, accomplish said character if like there's a cosplay you want to make. And at some point I really want to teach and conduct classes here in the studio.
that's cool.
That
Like
would
when
be
things
awesome.
kind of open up and I can just like, have like 10 or so people in the room and just like, all right,
Teach sewing.
you have a cosplay, let's all get our projects done and I can show you how to do it, kind of thing.
That's cool.
So that's like something I'd like to do
I
in
would
my off
totally come
time.
to your
I know
house and
you
learn how to
would.
make
I know.
it.
Yeah, I can teach you how to sew. Like, I'm getting practice with my roommate because he wants to make some cosplays and learn how to sew. So I'm like, good, I'll get some practice teaching somebody and just like doing that kind of thing. Like, that's what I would love to do, is just like teach on the side while he's been building DeLorean cars and stuff.
Well,
Yes.
I'm getting into more voiceover work for
Yeah.
stuff, so
It's been-
that's what I'm going to end up doing, is just strictly doing voiceover work for commercials.
It'd be
And
so
I've
great.
always been infatuated with
That's
that.
a
Ah.
really fun job,
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Like
It's a lot of like
You're just-
online submission now. It's so
you're just
nice.
in
Yeah.
a record. You just
Yeah.
got headphones and a mic and a script, and
Yeah.
you just
yeah,
build
I
into
just
your
did
character. I
I did
think
a
that's
commercial
amazing.
for when COVID first broke out. I did a Back to the Future commercial as Marty in a mask, and I came back from talking about
Yeah.
COVID and sanitizing the DeLorean, and so they needed Doc and Marty, so I voiced
Yeah.
Doc and Marty. I voiced Doc. Doc wasn't there, and the guy goes, "Can you get me Doc?" And I said, "Well, I can't get the actor, but
He's like off camera.
if you let me do it, I'll just do Doc
yeah.
and Marty." So off camera, I was Doc, voiced Doc, and then I did Marty. But
Yeah.
my Doc is Doc from the cartoon.
okay.
I always liked. Dan Castellaneta did the voice of Doc Brown in the animated series,
Mhm.
so I always loved that style of Doc.
Yeah.
So mine is more like that. Which,
They had like it was a commercial where they had like the proton pack kind of thing that was like the steam clean sanitizer kind of thing, and they were
Okay.
just like, we can go to your office and sanitize your schools, your faculty centers and all that. So
yeah.
he got to just come out of the time machine like, whoa, I just came from 2020.
Oh, that's cool.
we
That's
have to
fun.
prepare and sanitize before, and then so it does look like a proton pack when he's like sanitize. But
I'll show you it real quick
yeah.
as soon as I can play it.
Doc!
Marty,
Doc!
over here.
Hey, Doc! I got... Doc, you wouldn't believe it. I came back from the year 2020,
The coronavirus is a pandemic.
and there's this pandemic called COVID-19. It's infecting the whole world. Well, I couldn't bring the time machine back without having the stainless steel sterilized. That's why I brought these guys. They're called DMP Service Solutions. They sanitize and sterilize all multiple surfaces.
Great Scott! What's that coming out of that contraption?
Dry vapor seam sterilizing. It's 100% chemical free.
I see, Marty. When this baby hits 350 degrees, you're gonna see some serious steam.
Hey, Doc, it's like 1.21 gigawatts of electricity.
No, Marty, that's 220 volts.
DMP Service Solutions disinfects anything from banks or restaurants to daycares, hospitals, personal homes, and cars, like the time machine.
That's not to mention all the soft materials that are almost impossible to disinfect conventionally. With DMP Service Solutions, we can all look for a brighter future.
You're right, Doc. So click on the link below and have peace of mind for your business and home. I gotta get you back to 2020.
I love that you even have the Nikes with the red
Yes.
swoosh.
Yeah.
Like,
That stuff's hard
and
to find.
the black and white striped squared shirt is
Yeah.
exact. Like that's awesome.
That's
so
a
fun.
Shea Safari is the original. I actually have an actual Shea Safari from the 80s.
Those are hard to find. That window pane, checkered kind
I
of
had the
material.
jacket, Marty's actual jacket, custom made in India. And they actually had the right different color denim.
Okay.
So I have the right screen accurate jacket.
So good.
That's really
it takes
well
a lot
done.
to
Like
build.
the energy that you bring as Marty, like so good.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
good.
I watched a bunch of your videos. You know, when you have the sunglasses on and the vest and stuff like that.
You've
like,
got the
and like, your head
mannerisms.
movements and
Yeah.
yeah, it's
He's
just
just like a loose.
We're
kind of
detail people.
dude.
We look at the
Yeah.
details.
Well-
because in those movies he had a very specific, like when he would run or he did like a
Yeah.
turnaround or something like that. It was all
Or even just
it's almost-
talking the way he has his hands.
It's almost like
Yeah.
marionette-ish, if you
Yeah.
will, like puppetish.
Well, he's
you know?
very when he talks, he uses his whole body when he speaks.
Yeah.
But his body moves depending on his mood, and I just started realizing that wow, but I don't even do that now. It comes automatic. Like when I talk, my shoulders shrugs, everything
Yeah.
moves, and I don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
And when I met Michael, I came up to him and he goes, "Do I know you?" And I went,
You
might."
even did the squint point
Yeah.
thing like he does
Yeah, he
just
does.
now. Yeah.
And he goes, "I heard you do me." And I'm
Yes.
like, "I do you?" He goes, "Yeah, you do me." And I'm like, "Oh, I impersonate you." Yeah, that's what I
You
meant.
know.
And the Wrangler kept going to get a picture. He goes, "Hold on a second, I'm talking to him, right?" And I said, "Well, I have a line. We got to get a picture." And he goes, "All right, let's get a picture." And he stood there for a picture, and I went,
nice.
"See you in the future." And he goes, "Yeah." And,
so fun.
but the picture looks like a lot of people think that we look like brothers, like we could be brothers.
Yeah.
And but just doing his character is so much fun. I love doing it, and getting to do other character, doing voiceover characters is just so much fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. I love doing it. Just
You're
like
good at it.
Betty.
What's
That's natural.
a character that you haven't done yet, but you would like to be able to?
Oh, I already told her. It's still Christopher Lloyd because is Captain Krug from
Okay.
Star Trek.
Yeah.
I love that Floyd was a bad guy. I mean, him doing Judge and Who Framed Roger
yeah.
Rabbit, but
He's such a good bad guy.
being a Klingon for one, and then doing Krug, because not many people has done Captain Krug. I've only known one other guy that did it, but he was in the costume, but he didn't do Lloyd's voice.
Uh-huh.
That was a character. That's a character that I really, really want to do.
Yeah.
Is Captain Krug, but that's a lot of Klingon.
I'll have my
makeup.
work cut out for me.
Yeah, because she's gonna have to make the costume.
Yeah.
But I want it screen
Very
accurate.
detailed.
Very detailed.
That was one of the early Star Trek movies. It was
Star Trek
three,
3.
yeah.
Three.
The Search for Spock.
Yeah.
Because he wanted
Such a good
Genesis.
one.
Right.
What about you, Kyla? Like, what is a
Oh.
character that you haven't done yet, but you would love to get your hands
Oh
on?
man, definitely that labyrinth setup. I really want to do that one.
You want to do the ball gown Sarah.
The ball gown
Yeah.
Sarah.
with the badass hair with all the shit in her hair.
Oh, all the like the filigree or whatever they put in her hair.
some
It's just
sticks
so much
and-
hairspray. That 80s bouffant, the big old.
So 80s.
I
So
love
Well,
it.
you
So
wanted to do.
80s.
She was also. I told her she'd be good at Alita.
Oh yeah, there's just no like. I feel like I'd do that for fun, but there's just no demand for that character.
No.
But when we saw that movie, I was like,
I'm like, you look like her.
"That's me." I
You
was like,
look
"I
just
want
like
to
her.
do that," but I just want to be a robot girl. Like that would be so much fun. But yeah, there's so many movies.
you could
You have
pull
the
off-
eyes for it.
Yeah.
You
with
do.
the hair and
Yeah.
stuff, because like I couldn't make my eyes as big as they like computerized her, but like I'm like I feel like I could fit the middle ground of that and just you could be the doctor.
The doctor.
I watched the anime of that and it was so cool. So I'd love to like kind of go with the movie and the anime and kind of like go that way.
Mhm.
She was just so sick. I just love a tough girl character.
I love doing characters that don't exist yet.
Okay.
I like development characters because that really tests me on, especially like this guy.
Original stuff,
There was
yeah.
no concept of character. There was no, and I didn't want to do Jack. I didn't want to be that character. That
Yeah.
I didn't want to copy it because people are going to see. Especially it's a Halloween character.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want people in Florida going, "That's just Jack that they're doing."
Yeah,
So,
probably.
I tried to find that niche, and this filming went for a while because developing it and
Yeah.
going, okay, no, this voice, that's not good, and then we would do it again, and no, that's not right, and then I finally found the character that he's a guy that was just mistreated, and it's that typical formula where mistreated, turned bad, turned psycho kind of thing, because there's a shot of her tied up behind
I played
me.
a victim.
Yeah, because she wasn't really in it, and Roddy goes, "Can you be a victim?"
Yeah.
And you're like,
Oh,
"Yay!"
Sure.
So she's on the floor, and there's a shot of me looking at myself. It's the camera, and I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and you see her going, she's struggling, and I look straight at the camera, and I go, ah, and she goes, like cowers away. But people have been wanting us to do the Jokers, like Mark Hamill's Joker.
Oh, yeah.
And
I
Harley.
really want us to do animated series, classic Joker and Harley. Even though like I feel like so many people have done it, I feel like that's just a set of characters we should do at some
It's
point.
on our own version.
Well, the thing with the Jokers and the Harleys is we always like to go to cons and count the Harleys.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There's like a million
That is
Harleys.
a game.
But it's like, to do it the classic
Yeah.
is everybody wants to put their own spin on
Yeah.
Harley, which is wonderful and it's beautiful.
It's great,
but to pull it out and pull out the Jester costume and
My
be able to
favorite.
make it look
Yeah.
so accurate, I can see where that would be a passion. Definitely.
I have a love for her because of like watching the animated series growing up, and I'm like I love like how we could take you and make you like the cross between Mark Hamill and Jack Nicholson.
Mhm.
It's kind of like animated but real, like something live action version of those cartoon characters.
Yeah.
Just something to bring that to life. And maybe that could be a photo op in the future.
I
'cause
want to
it's
do Green
something
Goblin.
fun.
William Dafoe's
Yeah.
Green Goblin.
Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be a fun costume too. That's a lot of work. The
Roddy will
arm-
let me
the
just borrow
armor.
the mask.
Oh yeah, you
Roddy's
probably
got
could.
the mask.
He does, yeah. I just have to build the rest of it.
Yeah.
And that like flyer thing he has.
Oh,
glider.
his sled,
the glider, yeah, so much fun. But there's like such a long list that we like want to
Sure.
tackle every year. We're like, hopefully we can get like 2 good sets of costumes that can like, that we can knock out and just like do at special events or something. But we always do like original character concepts. But most of the time that's like when a client comes forward and it's like, hey, I got this drawing. I don't know how to make it like a real tangible thing. So, we make it
Well,
happen.
that was the movie theater
Yeah.
saying that we want these characters, but we don't know
Those
what.
icons.
And
yeah.
that's the fun, the collaborating and
I'm
building
the
a
one that
character.
came up with cadaver.
I
was
feel like
that's
that
fun.
gives you more creative freedom
Yeah.
too, because you're not constricted with the license product,
Right.
you
Well,
know?
and it
Yeah.
tests us on
Yeah.
character development
It's so
and
fun.
and
It's awesome.
coming up with their personalities and in a very short time. Like every time we get
Oh,
thrown something,
Deadline.
they go, we we have a deadline, but it's always a short deadline, and we need to film this like tomorrow, and we need the script. We don't get the script. A lot of times we don't get the script till day of, or
night before.
Night before. And the Christmas one we did, we
had to be off.
There was a lot. We had to be off. We were busy doing something. We couldn't get the script we couldn't go over the script until 2 days prior.
Yeah.
The script was like this.
But we learned all of our lines. It was like, we just would sit together and just go, all right,
we
crank it out.
The Christmas one, though, we were reporters. We were Christmas elves, and we were reporting on the news. And I'm like, this is perfect because we could look like we're reading the lines. And it worked. And it worked. Yeah. So I was reading this just in, and I was just reading the script, and that worked.
Yeah.
But our cadaver and all that stuff, we learned all that. We got that.
We had like 2 extra days to work on that, but it was still like, you gotta just like.
And they're like
ingrain
14-page, 15-page script.
Yeah.
But now I bought myself a teleprompter.
Nice.
Like it came in today, because the cameos, like every time I get a cameo, they basically tell me, these are the names that we want you to say. Yeah. These are the bullet points. You come up with the script. So her and I will sit in bed, and for like, the script only has to be this big. And it's only like a minute video. Yeah. But I'm like, a teleprompter can be right there. I can just put it right in front of me. I can knock it out really, really quick. Whereas before,
you'd be reading it, but you'd be reading it here.
Yeah, but I can't. But this is like a last minute script. This is like, okay, I'm writing it. I got to do it.
Right.
And I don't want to do multiple takes going, shit, I forgot. Oh, damn, I forgot it. Damn, I forgot what that was. So now it's in front of us, and you're filming right at the camera, and we can knock it out.
Well, time is money. You do 50 shoots of something.
And you only have a deadline to get these back to the people.
Right.
Yeah.
Usually it's 4 days, but I just got one for Valentine's. She goes, can you have it done tomorrow? So I'm like, and I'm trying to build my clientele, so I'm like, sure, I can have it for you. Yeah. But I did. Her and I knocked it out that night. I got the cameo request at 11 o'clock that night. Her and I knocked it out in 10 minutes in bed. We were laying, okay, this is what I'm going to say. And then the next day I went and shot it and had it edited with audio and got it back to her that day.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's a good turnaround.
It's awesome.
Just
Sometimes you just make it happen.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it
Always
is.
be hustling for sure.
Yay.
Yeah.
So glad.
Well, what do you guys think about allowing us to get a little nosy? Looking at your stuff.
Let's look at the studio.
Let's go look at the studio.
Look at your
Go
stuff.
video.
I can't
Alright.
wait to show you stuff.